Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Naruto Awakens Haki at the start. Chapter 101. What? Chio noticed the scene on the side, her pupils shrank, the 20-san shinobi couldn't hold to Konoha Anbu. Old woman, don't be distracted. A blue chakra scalpel appeared in Tsunade's hand, directly cutting off Chio's chakra thread. Immediately, a punch hit. The shaving speed is too fast, it can be said that it is a little faster than the general advanced body flicker technique. Chio's body technique is very strong, but it is a puppet master, and body flicker technique is not too clever. Can't dodge for a while. But at the critical moment, a ghost-faced puppet from the puppet Kinmatsu Jumon stood in front of Chio. Boom! Tsunade's magic punch hit the center of Kinmatsu Jumon, but the puppet just shook and didn't seem to be hurt much. Hehe, these puppets are made of sand and iron, and they claim to be the strongest defense. Tsunade, no matter how powerful you are, you can still penetrate the sand and iron. Chio smiled proudly, and then with a slight movement of the chakra thread in his hand, the puppet's robe suddenly opened, and two trapped arms appeared in its stomach, which quickly grabbed Tsunade's hand and bound it. Tsunade wanted to throw it away, but the puppet's strength was stronger than she imagined, and she couldn't break free for a while. Click. The inside of the puppet made a rattling sound of gears, and the head of Tsunade's eyesight puppet cracked open, revealing dense pinholes. Whizzing. At one time, hundreds of poisonous needles were shot out. Hehe, these poisonous needles won't kill you, but they will definitely make you suffer. Chio said. You're careless. Tsunade felt a hint of remorse in his heart, but then with a firm look on his face, he shouted. I am the granddaughter of the god of ninjas, the niece of second Hokage, the student of third Hokage, the future daughter of Hokage. Just a puppet, give me death. An incredible force erupted from Tsunade's body, and the punch that originally hit the puppet sent out stamina, directly piercing the sand and iron defense. Boom, shave. With a loud bang, the parts of the puppet Jinsong 10 people scattered directly on the ground. Tsunade teleports out the moment the poison needle comes in. On the other side, Yi Chen held Yan Mo and killed Sand Shinobi with an unstoppable force. Basically one knife and one, either beheading or slashing in the waist, the attack is ruthless, like the evil ghost Rakshasa, walking in blood. Even Jonin can't resist Yi Chen's killing steps. Absolute speed, absolute power, and the sharpest weapon. All ninjutsu is a paper tiger in front of it, and it will be broken when it is cut. The 10 people in Kinmatsu were bombarded by Tsunade, and the 24 sand shinobi on one side were basically killed, and only 3 or 2 were left with expressions of horror and no fighting intent. Chio looked at this reversal of the battle situation and couldn't believe it at all. In a short period of time, was their sand shinobi squadron wiped out like this? Why is the method so familiar? Isn't that what happened to Rock Shinobi not long ago? Who is that Rakshasa Anbu holding a black knife? Could it be that Rock Shinobi was killed before? This is the man. A terrible guess appeared in Chio's heart for a while, and his heart suddenly felt chills. Tsunade, it's over for me. You haven't finished yet, Yi Chen said, carrying Yan Mo. There was not a drop of blood on the black blade, but it was more and more evil and terrifying. I thought everyone was pervert like you. Tsunade couldn't help but complain. Uchiha Makoto followed behind. This was the easiest battle she'd ever fought in the field, all she needed to do was put some fire style next to her support. Chio-sama. The remnant sand shinobi came behind Chio with a sad face, a look of fear on his face. The Rakshasa Anbu on the opposite side is really cruel, basically someone will die if he lifts the knife. As if ninjas are worthless, kill them at will. Tsunade, leave it to me. Yi Chen walked over, Yan Mo's blade dragged on the ground, making a rustling sound. This step was like stepping on a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. Tsunade originally wanted to fight Chio, but looking at the Kinmatsu 10 and Chio, he thought about it and said, okay, be careful. Who are you, and why hasn't Konoha heard of a powerhouse like you? Chio asked. Anbu Rakshasa, Yi Chen said calmly, his arms slowly raised, and Yan Mo's blade exuded an amazing murderous aura. Rakshasa, I remember it. Kill. Yi Chen flashed his knife and shave, only to see a black light cut through the void. Chio's pupils flickered with an astonishing luster, and her face was calm. With a wave of her arms, the chakra threads of her fingertips fluttered around. One of the 10 close people who was just blown up by Tsunade was pulled by the chakra silk thread, and all parts healed in an instant. At the same time, the 10 strongest puppets are lined up in a circle, surrounding Chiyo in the center. Chiyo waved his hands, and the puppet line shook. 10 super puppets comparable to Jonin attacked one after another, but it wasn't like there was only one against Tsunade just now. Ordinary puppet masters control one puppet with one finger, up to 2 or 3. And Chiyo can control 10 puppets with both hands and 10 fingers, which is already the limit of ordinary puppet masters. Whoosh! The puppet moves extremely fast and cannot be controlled by common sense. It has the blessing of Chiyo's chakra, and it also has a special mechanism inside, the source of power. Among them, the fastest puppet came to Yi Chen in an instant, and the strange body twisted, and immediately there were countless green poisonous needles shot at Yi Chen. Facing the violent attack of poisonous needles, Yi Chen but he had no intention of retreating. Straight cut out. The black emission haki turned into a slash, and a crescent blade slashed into the air. One end of the knife world has turned black, and the other end is the real world. Those poisonous needles were also stagnant in the air by emission haki in an instant, and finally all cracked, broke, and fell like raindrops. This is Yanmo's slash, and it's endless. Yi Chen swung 3 slashes in a row. Each one seems to cut the world in half, and each one is thrilling. Click, click. The closest puppet he leaned on kept running, but was stopped by the middle. It actually cut the sand iron with one knife. What kind of knife is this? Chiyo looked at the cut-off Kinmatsu Jumon, but it was too late for her to think too much, because Yi Chen's sword was already approaching her head. Of the 10 puppets, none of them resisted Yi Chen's footsteps, and they were pushed horizontally as if they were crushed. And if so many puppets are destroyed at once, it is impossible to reunite in an instant. Cut. Yi Chen swayed Yanmo mercilessly, black light flashed, Chiyo's head flew out, and blood shot out. Dead. Tsunade in the back rubbed his eyes. Isn't this old woman worthy of her name? Yi Chen's expression changed slightly, and the knife that had just been loosened was clenched again. Looking at the headless Chiyo in front of him, the corpse had already fallen to the ground, without a breath. It stands to reason that a person without a head will surely die. But Yi Chen is systematic. If it is confirmed to kill the target, there must be a message notification. There is no notification now, which means that Chiyo is not dead. Suddenly, seeing the crazy warning, Yi Chen subconsciously wanted to dodge, but he was still a step too late, or he deliberately revealed flaws. Yeah, the puppet parts that he had chopped into pieces had already arrived at his feet at some point. These puppet parts moved, leaning against him one by one. First, they bound his legs, then surrounded his upper body. During his breath, Yi Chen's body was completely covered by the puppet parts. Makes him look like a humanoid puppet. Aiming the forest knives at Yi Chen, as long as he moved, countless poisonous needles, scrapers, sharp blades, and axes would explode in an instant. Yi Chen. Tsunade looked anxious. Hey hey hey. There was a gloomy laughter from another place, and among the other piles of puppet parts, Chiyo crawled out from the inside, looking intact. Old woman. Tsunade scolded. If you make a move, he will die. Killing so many people in Sand Shinobi Village, how can it be possible without paying some price? This is an old puppet cage, specially designed to deal with the enemies of Sand Shinobi Village. You will be subject to 18 extreme punishments in an instant. Chiyo said. Nice technique. Yi Chen said calmly. Body replacement technique. But why didn't Sharingan notice? What the hell is going on? Uchiha Makoto looked shocked. Junior, have you ever heard of the puppet body replacement technique? Puppet stand-ins are more realistic than shadow clone. Even if you have a Sharingan, you won't be able to see it. Chiyo said. Although Sharingan is one of the 3 major pupil techniques, it is a unique inside eye, but after all, it is not like a white eye that can see through. The puppet stand-ins are enough to mix the real with the real and the fake. By the time she summoned the Jinmatsu 10 guards, she had already swindled. Afterwards, he made a seal with one hand, and the original headless corpse suddenly turned into a lifelike puppet. If you hurt him, I won't let you go, old woman. Tsunade said angrily. This old guy is really insidious, with a really dirty heart, and he plays tricks against their young people. HMPH, if you make another rude remark, this companion of yours will die. Chiyo's expression sank. The puppet cage on Yi Chen turned instantly, and Senhan's knife was aimed at his body at a 366-degree angle. Is this your method? But that's it, Yi Chen said slowly. What do you mean? Anbu Rakshasa, do you still think you can escape now? Chio said proudly. More or less, I just don't know how many avatars you still use. Chio, who has rich combat experience, is keenly aware of a strong killing intent. Pupils shrink, act decisively. Activate the puppet cage mechanism, and in an instant, countless sharp knives and poisonous needles are stabbed. She only saved Tsunade's life to threaten Konoha, but Yi Chen and the two Anbu didn't need to live. In particular, this Rakshasa is very powerful. To get rid of him is to get rid of a future enemy for Sand Shinobi. Old stuff. Tsunade's eyes were red with anger when he saw that Chio actually killed him. With murderous aura, he slammed a punch in an instant, roaring. Death to me. Chio easily avoided it, did not fight him, and said, your teammate is dead. Yes, an indifferent and cold voice came from behind, but it was followed by an overwhelming heat wave. The mechanism of the puppet prison really pierced Yi Chen's body. But, it's just piercing. From the inside out, in Chio's eyes, Yi Chen's body suddenly erupted with a strong golden flame. Ya, destroyed and destroyed. The prison of the puppet mechanism was burned by the fierce flames in an instant. At this time, many parts of Yi Chen's body were inserted with sharp blades, poison needles, axes and other mechanical weapons. It's just that this scene is kind of weird. Because most of Yi Chen's body was surrounded by flames, even if he was a fire-style ninja, he didn't dare to pour fire on himself in a large area, but he would be burned to death. And as the golden flame burns more and more fiercely, the temperature is getting higher and higher. These knives and hidden weapons have been melted by flames. Elementalization, physical attack is invalid. This is also one of Yi Chen's whole cards. Fire punch. Yi Chen condensed his fist, his entire arm turned into flames, and swung toward the void in front of him. An incomparably huge column of flames surged, and at the top of the flames, a fist made of flames burst into the void. This power far exceeds the average A-level ninjutsu. How is this possible? Chio's two pupils showed shock. The fire fist's momentum was too great. The sky in front of him was filled with flames. There was no way to hide. Puppet technique machine light shield. Chio quickly controlled the remaining 4 or 5 puppets to block in front of him, and conducted chakra into the puppets through the chakra silk thread. The void shook, and the remaining puppets stretched out their mechanical arms, using them as a medium, and a blue chakra shield appeared out of nowhere. Boom! The fire fist completely slammed into the aurora shield, and the huge flame overflowed from the shield to both sides, and Chio couldn't help covering his face. 4 puppets support the chakra shield, but the objects on them start to melt. First of all, the most easily combustible clothing turned into ashes out of thin air. Then the broken puppet bodies were revealed. Their body temperature rose sharply, and became as red as a soldering iron. Their limbs gradually drooped down, and the chakra wire connecting them was also broken, and they fell down one after another. But at this time, most of the power of Fire Fist has been exhausted. Chio looked at everything in front of him, and his head was dazed. The puppet technique she was so proud of was defeated like this, and the temperature of the flame is extremely high, which is much more powerful than ordinary fire-style ninjutsu. How could it be? Without the seal, the body has actually become a part of the flame. What kind of power is this? Could it be that Konoha also created some kind of bloodline? For a moment, various thoughts flashed in Chio's mind. Yi Chen approached step by step. With a calm expression, wisps of flames lingered on his shoulders and palms, and those flames reverently marked their master's arrival with a gesture of surrender. The two of them looked at each other. Yi Chen raised his aura. Chio was unwilling to be compared by a junior, and at the same time his aura rose up. But gradually, Chio was a little horrified to find that her aura was not as good as Yi Chen's. A trace of sweat gradually overflowed from her forehead, and her aura was faintly suppressed by Yi Chen. If this continued, she might not even have a chance to make a move. Run, run. The strength of the puppet master is closely related to the puppet. The white secret technique to send 10 people to the crowd can be said to be the most peak puppet in the ninja world at present. Of course, after Sasori comes out, we will talk about it separately. The 10 ninja puppets use special materials, and the hardest defensive material is Sand Shinobi's sand iron, which is melted into the puppet material to make it indestructible. Basically every puppet has the strength to rival Jonin. There are 10 people in Jinsong, and one machine can stop thousands of people. It's not just talk. But now it is either chopped by Yanmo or melted by the scorching temperature of Maramara fruit, basically completely useless. Coupled with the elementalization of Logia fruit, physical attacks are invalid. Yi Chen is inherently invincible, and is completely the nemesis of puppet and physique powerhouses. Rakshasa, you are Konoha's Anbu captain. But Hitaki Sakumo can't possibly have your ability. Yi Chen's strength was unbelievably strong, and Chiyo finally couldn't help but ask. At first she only thought that Yi Chen was the Anbu escort protecting Tsunade, but now it seems she thinks too much. No matter how special Tsunade's identity is, it is impossible for a captain-level ninja to escort him. Because rather than protecting Tsunade, such a strong man is likely to control the situation of a war. No, Yi Chen responded simply and neatly, and then slashed again, smashing the scattered puppets that were trying to struggle. Surrounded by puppets, Yi Chen was like a god of war, bathed in flames, slaying everything. And just with the iron fist, the fire fist smashed all the remains of the puppets, and they kept collapsing and scattered. Seeing that his proud puppet tool was completely shattered, Chiyo's heart was bleeding, and it was difficult to breathe. A puppet is the life of a puppet master. If the puppet is gone, does the profession of a puppet master still exist? Chiyo is now feeling aggrieved and horrified, and the desire to retreat has sprung up in his heart. At a glance, the team of more than 10 Sand Shinobi ninjas have all been killed. The few remaining just now were also hit by Uchiha Makoto's Sharingan illusion and fell to the ground. Not long ago, Chiyo mocked Rock Shinobi's garbage and was destroyed by people. Now it's time for retribution. It's their turn to Sand Shinobi. The way of heaven is good for reincarnation, who the heaven will forgive. I want to cry but have no tears. Run. Looking at the current situation, Chiyo stepped back immediately, showing the extraordinary body technique and body flicker technique. But she is faster, Yi Chen is faster. Ghost Force. Shave. The speed that surpassed the body flicker technique disappeared out of thin air, and Chiyo just fled a few steps away when a black shadow appeared on the top of his head, followed by a black Angong iron fist in his pupils constantly expanding. The terrifying strange force reverberated, and Chiyo's face stretched out a hand to resist, but under Yi Chen's punch, the arm shattered inch by inch. The most bizarre thing is that Chiyo, who had no bloodline flowed out and was directly broken, ended up scattered into parts. Puppet stand in. No, I definitely didn't run away. Wrinkling his brows, Yi Chen's thoughts turned. Without hesitation, he stepped on the ground below. Boom. The earth roared and vibrated. With Yi Chen as the center, the invisible force under his feet continued to spread rapidly in the form of sound waves. The entire basement was shocked by this sudden and strange force, as if someone stretched out their palm and suddenly pressed the cotton, and the space area suddenly became smaller. And a figure somewhere underground was suddenly affected by this squeezing force, spewing a mouthful of blood, and immediately activated the chakra shield defense in horror, but it was enough to resist. Afterwards, Chiyo used the digging puppet mechanical arm without looking back, walked quickly through the ground, and left. I really didn't dare to look back. Chiyo knew in his heart that if he fought again, she would definitely die. She was beaten by heaven, and she couldn't use half of her strength. That Rakshasa is not human at all. As soon as the Rakshasa ghost face appears in Chiyo's heart, there will be a shadow. On the ground, after Yi Chen continuously launched several shock waves of strange force towards the ground, he shook his head slightly. It seemed that it had no effect, and Chiyo was still able to resist his strange force. He didn't know that Chiyo, who was running for his life underground, was coughing up blood all the way. Because there was a shock wave before he ran far, Chiyo even suspected that he was not beaten to death, but died of vomiting blood. Fortunately, the digging puppet was fast and quickly left that area. In the end, cage level exists, maybe it's almost, but this is the first time I've met someone who can escape from me. The 3 caves of the cunning rabbit, without the ability to save one's life, can't survive in the ninja world. Yi Chen said to himself. Boom. A silver treasure chest appeared, and Yi Chen received it directly into the system. And destroying this Sand Shinobi team, more than 20 people brought him more than 8,000 experience points. Among them, Chiyo alone contributed 3,000 experience points to him. Yi Chen felt a little regretful at this time. If he really killed Chiyo, it would at least provide him with double or even more experience. Old Ninja Sand Shinobi advisor Chiyo escaped. Uchiha Makoto came over, his face shocked. Isn't she an old woman? Yi Chen said lightly, not caring. Sunagaku's Chiyo, who never expected to be able to fight, fled in embarrassment and was completely defeated. Looking at the chaotic battlefield, Tsunade exhaled, his beautiful eyes twinkling. Yi Chen's ability seems to be almost complete against the puppet master. Yi Chen took Yan Mo back inside. I should have cut off her head with all my strength at the beginning. Chiyo didn't know that I was not prepared and would definitely die. It's a pity that she used the puppet body replacement twice. Technique, it seems that she is destined to die. Tsunade was about to praise Yi Chen. After all, he was the younger brother he recognized, but when he heard this, the corner of his mouth twitched. She really wanted to knock on Yi Chen's head to see what was going on in Yi Chen's mind. Chiyo is Feng Ying's assistant. Yi Chen even defeated Feng Ying's assistant, but he is still not satisfied, and he wants to kill them directly. After all, they are also quasi-cage level powerhouses, and they are not Chinese cabbage and watermelons, which are so easy to die. Especially someone as scheming as Chiyo, who engages in puppet tactics, doesn't know how many escape routes they have left for themselves. Even if they really crush Chiyo, but Chiyo is going to leave, it is difficult for them to stay. And once they stay, it means a bigger crisis, and they have to face a desperate Chiyo. Don't think that if Chiyo escapes, Chiyo's strength will be weak. That's because I didn't know the details of Yi Chen, and suffered a loss with poor information. Coupled with Yi Chen pervert's performance, Chiyo no longer has the will to continue fighting. If Tsunade knew that Chiyo was just an experience pack in Yi Chen's heart, he didn't know what to think. Would he vomit blood? Okay, it should be safer to go back now, Tsunade said. Yeah, Yi Chen nodded, still a little regretful. Rainland, Sunagaku Camp. An extremely embarrassed figure appeared here, with a gloomy face, and walked in without saying a word. Several patrolling Sand Shinobi ninjas were a little surprised and just wanted to come up to stop them. But at the next moment, he suddenly recognized the identity of the person who came, with a look of shock and disbelief. Chiyo-sama, what's wrong with you? Looking at Chiyo, who was covered in blood, and her messy and unlovable appearance. They were all stunned, feeling dazzled. Who is Chiyo, the assistant of Cage, the second character of Sunagaku, an extremely powerful big man? They have never seen Chiyo look so embarrassed. Who made Chiyo look like this? Chiyo didn't say a word. His face was gloomy, and he was really ashamed in front of these subordinates. He walked directly into the separate command room, closed the door, and then suddenly spit out a mouthful of blood. However, this is just the congestion accumulated in her body. She is also a medical ninja, and she has been treating herself on the way back. The blood vomited out, and her injury was almost healed. But all her puppets were destroyed, and the 10 people in Jinsong were gone. This loss was too great. At this moment, Chiyo has no time to think about her puppet. There is only one problem. Who is the true identity of that Konoha's Anbu ninja? Rakshasa, strange power, swordsmanship, strange flame ability, not afraid of physical attacks. Knife technique. With hindsight, Chiyo was in a cold sweat. Could it be that Jiro was killed by this person? A Jonin is a high-end combat power even in the Ninja World War, and it is impossible to be killed so easily. Being able to kill Jonin is undoubtedly an absolute crushing power. But I didn't see him using the pheasant sword, Chiyo thought. If her guesses were true, it would be terrifying. After a long silence, Chiyo finally gave the order. Send me urgent information to Cage. Chiyo is currently in charge of Sand Shinobi when he has not yet been to the shadows of each village to fight on the battlefield. The third Cage is still in the rear, Sunagaku, and it's everything. Kingdom of the Wind, Sunagaku. In the Cage office, third Cage was sitting on a chair with his brows furrowed. Konoha is worthy of being the largest village. It has a deep background. An Anbu ninja is so powerful that it seems necessary to talk to Iwagaku about cooperation. However, Iwagaku's Tsuchikage Onogi is not an easy man. I'm afraid he's too angry to suffer such a big loss this time. With a thoughtful look on his face, Kazuki finally threw the emergency information in his hand on the table. If this Konoha shinobi who defeated Chiyo is always hiding in the dark, it's really a big problem for his inner circle. So strong, he shouldn't be a nameless person. Who is he? According to Chiyo's description, isn't it Hatake Tsukumo? He knows fire and swordsmanship. Could it be that Uchiha Kagami has appeared again? Because third Kage didn't see Yi Chen with his own eyes, he could only think of this former second Hokage student, and only he was the closest. Some powerful Anbu ninjas basically have a bright identity at the same time, such as Anbu Captain Hatake Tsukumo, who is Konoha's White Fang. Namikaze Minato, Jiraiya, Orochimaru almost all served as Anbu. Yi Chen so far, Anbu's identity has shocked both Iwagakure and Sunagakure's Tsuchikage, but no one knows who he is. The Land of Rain. Yi Chen, Tsunade, and Uchiha Makoto walked side by side. The rain fell, but Yi Chen directly bounced back with the power of Haki. Tsunade, on the other hand, used the extremely delicate chakra control ability, and also let all the rain fall from her body without getting her clothes wet. In fact, it should look better when wet. Uchiha Makoto is not like the two of them who are acting so garish, that the rain drips on him. Anyway, Anbu's black cloak and raincoat are no different. After encountering Sand Shinobi, there were no accidents along the way. Yi Chen wanted to turn around to see how Konan and Yahiko were doing, but after thinking about it, he would go back to Camp Konoha with Tsunade first. Yi Chen, you have such strength at such a fast speed without making a sound. I am afraid that the achievements you have obtained in secret are far more than simply defeating Kage and assisting Chiyo this time. After walking for a while, the outline of Konoha camp can already be seen in front, Tsunade asked Yi Chen. Yi Chen shrugged noncommittally. Tsunade showed a slightly weird expression, then became complicated again, and sighed slightly. I'm afraid, if this momentum continues, it's only a matter of time before you become Captain Anbu. Captain Anbu, it's too far. Yi Chen said calmly. It is possible that this position will never be held in this lifetime. Yi Chen and Hatake Tsukumo are both ordinary ninjas, and they don't have a big family to back them up. But there is a fatal difference between the two of them. Hatake Tsukumo is a man of Konoha with roots and roots. Yi Chen is not, he is just a survivor of an unknown shinobi village. No matter how generous third Hokage is, it is more enlightened. He will not be the captain of Anbu either. The captain of Anbu will not let outsiders be, it is the true Hokage lineage. If Yi Chen is really the captain of Anbu, unless Tsunade is Hokage. According to history, it will be at least 20 or 30 years later. In those days, it was meaningless. Distant. Yi Chen, in fact, my sister wants you to leave Anbu, that place is really not suitable for you. After staying there for a long time, you will gradually not know yourself, gradually. Tsunade slowed down, he said slowly, thinking about Yi Chen from the bottom of his heart. I know, maybe I won't be in Anbu soon. Yi Chen said. Leave Anbu. Uchiha Makoto was thinking while listening to these words. If Yi Chen left Anbu, would he still stay in Anbu? Outside the Leaf Camp, the iconic Rakshasa mask is recognizable by Yi Chen, as well as Tsunade. It made many ninjas look surprised. Some ninjas even widened their eyes and looked shocked. Lord Rakshasa, Master Tsunade, you guys are back. Yi Chen. Tsunade nodded casually, and then walked directly to the headquarters in the center of Konoha camp. Inside the headquarters of the Konoha Center. The person sitting at the top is Hokage assisting Danzo, with a stern look on his face, and at first glance, he is full of bad water. And directly opposite him is Hatake Tsukumo. In other places, some elite jonin of Konoha were sitting, basically the 12 little strong families, and they all belong to the top of Konoha. But at this time, it is vaguely divided into two factions confronting each other. Hatake Tsukumo's faction, Danzo's faction. The situation in the headquarters is very tense. In the Konoha Command Center, many Konoha backbones gathered together and divided into two factions fighting against each other. The latest scout information has been received, and the Rock Shinobi troops chasing Tsunade have been wiped out, and the Rock Shinobi have been defeated. It means that Tsunade may still be alive now, and he must send a team of elite troops to the hinterland of the Land of Rain, and even if there is a glimmer of hope, he must not give up. Hitaki Tsukumo spoke first, with a solemn expression on his face. Tsunade was more important than a normal ninja. And Rock Shinobi was completely destroyed, indicating that Yi Chen had succeeded, and the strength of this child once again shocked him, so he couldn't give up the rescue mission. Danzo reprimanded sternly. As an assistant to Hokage, I oppose it. Tsukumo, do you know where the hinterland of the Rain Country is? How many ninjas died there? Sending a team of elite troops is there to die. The reason why the Rock Shinobi unit that was chasing Tsunade was completely wiped out was probably because of Rain Shinobi Sand Shinobi. Besides, there has been no news for such a long time, and Tsunade has probably died there. I would never agree to put an elite army at a huge risk for the sake of a dead person. He didn't know that Yi Chen received Sarutobi's mission to rescue Tsunade, so he naturally thought that Tsunade was just lucky to escape, and he didn't support the rescue of Tsunade. Danzo's words echoed in the air, and even Hitaki Tsukumo couldn't help but be shocked. Danzo is so ignorant of Tsunade's life and death, that is the princess of the Senju clan and a student of the third generation. However, the fact is that Danzo is so cold-hearted that interests come first. In his eyes, Tsunade's role is not irreplaceable. Although Tsunade medical ninjutsu is unparalleled in the ninja world, but not irreplaceable, he also has medical treatment. And there is no need to waste resources for a dead man. He will abandon the worthless ninja without hesitation. He, Danzo-sama, that's very well said. Behind Hitaki Tsukumo, Orochimaru let out a sinister smile, which was extremely permeating. Everyone present could feel the chill coming from Orochimaru. It was really creepy. As we all know, Orochimaru, Tsunade and Jiraiya are all third-generation students, brothers and sisters of the same class, and their relationship is naturally very good. Before, Orochimaru was also selfish, and indifferent. But since Tsunade entrusted Jiraiya's life to himself, Orochimaru's heart has changed indifferently. At least seeing Tsunade as his own, it is impossible to turn a blind eye. Danzo frowned and glanced at Orochimaru, displeased. For a while, the atmosphere of the entire combat center was depressed. But at the next moment, an equally cold voice suddenly came from outside the door. Of course there is no need to send an elite force to take the risk, because I have already returned. As soon as he walked in, Tsunade looked at Danzo with a cold expression, indescribable disgust in his heart. Also coming in are Yi Chen, Uchiha Makoto. The decision made by Danzo, not to send ninja support, was for Konoha's overall situation. In fact, there is nothing wrong, just disagreeing with Hitaki Tsukumo. Tsukumo thinks she's alive, Danzo thinks she's dead. But Danzo's tone and statement still made her feel extremely disgusted in her heart. She didn't feel it before, but now that the person involved is herself, she really feels disgusted. It's like being suddenly abandoned. Danzo's expression remained stern, stiff, and cold-blooded from the moment before. But seeing Tsunade walk in, he was stunned, even a little lost, and wanted to rub his eyes to see if he was dreaming. It came back alive, remembering what I said earlier. Well, it's so embarrassing. However, as the leader of the route, Danzo's face is not ordinary thick, calm. The rest of the ninjas present were shocked. They all knew that Tsunade was in prison and was in great danger, but they didn't expect to come back in the next second. Tsunade. Orochimaru couldn't help but speak, but saw the Rakshasa ghost face behind Tsunade. Thinking of what Hitaki Tsukumo said not long ago, an incredible guess suddenly appeared in his heart. Could it be that he was the one who killed Rock Shinobi Squadron again in the information? Rakshasa, Yi Chen-kun. Tsunade, it's great that you're back. Hitaki Tsukumo smiled. He also saw Yi Chen, and everything naturally didn't need to be said. Danzo was cunning. He looked at Tsunade and then Yi Chen, who disobeyed him. He also figured it out in an instant. It's just that he still doubts, did this Yi Chen destroy Rock Shinobi Squadron again? You must know that there are nearly 40 ninjas who besieged Tsunade this time, and there are also 4 or 5 Jonin. Tsunade was originally the end of the force and could not be their opponent at all. It's great to be back safely. Now that you're back, let's move on to the next question. Nodding at Tsunade, Hitaki Tsukumo ordered the ninjas outside to move in 2 more chairs. Tsunade was not polite, and sat down directly, showing his demeanor. Yi Chen actually didn't want to have a meeting, but he was a special Anbu, with a special status, and on the same level as the Anbu sub-captain. It was impossible to leave the scene. "Rakshasa, sit down too." Hitaki Sakumo seemed to know Yi Chen's thoughts, and said warmly. Many ninjas at the scene knew about Rakshasa's reputation. After all, before rescuing Tsunade, Rakshasa's 9th team had already become famous. It was the only team that escaped the pursuit of Rock Shinobi by Scout Anbu and successfully killed Rock Shinobi 2. The powerful existence of 10 ninjas. The meeting was quick, but Danzo's face became ugly since Tsunade came back, and even his voice seemed to have become hoarse. After the meeting, Danzo turned and left with a black face. Today is another day of being slapped in the face, it hurts. After that, the backbone of each part left, and only Yi Chen, Hitaki Sakumo, Tsunade, and Orochimaru were left in the tent. Although Uchiha Makoto is also an Anbu, but his level is not enough, so he has also left. Take off the mask, Tsunade can know your identity. Hitaki Sakumo smiled and looked at Yi Chen. Yi Chen heard the words and slowly took off the mask, revealing a young and handsome face that did not match his prestige. Seeing this, Hitaki Sakumo couldn't help but reached out and patted Yi Chen's shoulder. Nice job. This is a compliment from Hitaki Sakumo's heart. In his opinion, Yi Chen can save Tsunade intact. This even makes Yi Chen happier than when he killed a Rock Shinobi unit by himself. Hitaki Sakumo attaches great importance to the lives of his companions, not to mention that Tsunade's identity itself is not ordinary. If something happened to Tsunade, he didn't know how to explain it to 3rd Hokage. Che, I already knew the identity of the brat. Seeing this scene, Tsunade rolled his eyes silently. This is the captain of the 3rd Division of Anbu, Orochimaru, your senior. Hitaki Sakumo introduced again. Yi Chen looked at Orochimaru, and Orochimaru looked at Yi Chen. This should be the first official meeting between the two. Orochimaru showed his trademark evil smile, stuck out his tongue and licked his lips, and said with a smile, Yi-kun, I'm very interested in you. Sorry, I'm not interested in you. Yi Chen directly rejected Uncle Snake's ambiguity, only feeling a chill. Ha ha, fun, fun. Orochimaru froze for a moment, then put on his signature sinister smile again. Orochimaru, Yi Chen is a pure child, you can't give him your pervert thoughts. Otherwise I won't spare you. Tsunade said. As a classmate, how could she not know Orochimaru's mind? Well, Orochimaru was a little sad when his idea of pursuing scientific longevity was considered pervert by Tsunade. Sure enough, no one understands him, so lonely, let's play with snakes. By the way, isn't that Jiraiya guy still alive? Tsunade asked with a pretense of ease, because it was indeed a long time. Hanzo's poisonous ninja can't handle it at all. Even if Jiraiya is not weak, but he hasn't detoxified for so long, it is estimated that he is hanging, and he will not die young. Haha, Jiraiya is already fine. Now he's showing off with his talented student. Hitaki Sakumo couldn't help saying. Hehe. Orochimaru also showed a knowing smile. What the hell is going on? Tsunade was stunned. How could Jiraiya recover without her antidote? Yi Chen was also puzzled by this, but there was a vague guess in his heart, but he wasn't sure. Not long ago, we captured some sand shinobi, and in the hands of these sand shinobi, we obtained the antidote to the poison of Hanzo Sancho. PFF. Chio. Tsunade had a weird expression on his face, and invariably exchanged glances with Yi Chen. This old woman actually helped them a lot. You know, Chio was almost hacked to death by Yi Chen. If Chio knew that he not only lost his soldiers, but also unintentionally rescued a Konoha elite Jonin, I wonder if he would vomit blood. Hitaki Sakumo is an ordinary person, how could he not notice Tsunade's subtle expression, and said. Is there something wrong with this? Tsunade. Of course it's not right, I'm dying of laughter. Haha. Tsunade couldn't help laughing, and then told the whole process again, including the encounter with Sand Shinobi's troops. Yi Chen defeated Kazekage to assist Chio and chase the old woman to cut. Hitaki Sakumo thought that even if Yi Chen did something unbelievable, he would not be surprised. Because I was too surprised by Yi Chen, but I heard that I defeated Kazekage to assist Chio. However, he still showed a hint of shock. To defeat Chio, he himself had the confidence to do it. But how old is Yi Chen? No more than 10 years old. At this age, what does it mean to defeat a shadow assistant? Tsunade's words cannot be false, no doubt about it. Hatake Tsukumo felt that he could no longer imagine Yi Chen's future, and even in Yi Chen, he faintly saw the shadow of first Hokage Senju Hashirama, who was revered as the god of the ninja world. The same invincible, who will give up on me, alone in the world, in the age of the weak, swept the world of ninjas. God bless Konoha, hehe, what a monster. Orochimaru sighed, how good it would be if he could study Yi-kun's body. However, the current Orochimaru still has professional ethics and will not mess with human experiments. Maybe you should find a time to have a long talk with Yi-kun and tell Yi-kun your great plan and great theory. With Yi Luo's talent, he should be able to understand himself or support himself. After that, it was time to talk about small things. When Hatake Tsukumo passed Yi Chen's credit back to Konoha, Yi Chen still didn't forget to add that he needs the lightning-style bodybuilding secret technique of Cloud Shinobi Village. Unleash the power of devil fruit and haki without a strong physique. Although his current physique is far stronger than that of the same level of powerhouses. But the road of the strong is never-ending, and he will not stand still and satisfy the status quo. Of course it would be best if the village could help find it. However, it is estimated that Konoha is currently fighting against Rain Shinobi, Sand Shinobi, and Rock Shinobi. It should be difficult to focus on Cloud Shinobi Village. It's really not possible, go directly to Cloud Shinobi Village to pick it up. As if, Yi Chen felt that the lightning-style body forging technique was already his own. Taking off the mask and cloak, Yi Chen walked out of the headquarters. He who takes off the mask and cloak is a Konoha genin, not Konoha Anbu ninja Rakshasa who has shaken both Iwagakure and Sunagakure. The repeated battles made Yi Chen a little tired, so he stretched out his body. Yi Chen walked around the camp, just take it as a distraction. However, what Yi Chen didn't expect was that he met an acquaintance, Namikaze Minato. And of course Namikaze Minato's teacher, Jiraiya. Accepting Namikaze Minato as a student can be said to be the proudest thing for Jiraiya. The fact is that the future fourth Hokage, the youngest Hokage in history, also had the shortest reign, and died young 1 year later. It was a clearing and Jiraiya was teaching Namikaze Minato. Yi Chen came like this, and they were naturally discovered by them. Yi Chen, you really are here. Namikaze Minato also noticed Yi Chen, and after being slightly surprised, smiled at Yi Chen and said hello. After graduating from ninja school, the two never saw each other again. Yi Chen also nodded lightly at Namikaze Minato. Yeah, aren't you that kid from the ninja school? Jiraiya came over and said carelessly. Hello, Mr. Jiraiya who likes to peek at the little yellow book. Yi Chen said lightly. Hehe. Namikaze Minato couldn't help laughing. What, little devil, what a little yellow book, I am the wise and powerful Lord Jiraiya, you can't slander me. Jiraiya explained quickly, with an embarrassed expression on her face, she quickly waved her hands and jumped up and down. It's okay not to explain. With this explanation, the little yellow book in his arms fell down with a swish. The scene was embarrassing. Hey, whose book is this? Jiraiya picked it up embarrassedly and tucked it into her arms without a trace. Haha, Namikaze Minato laughed, his teacher really. To distract Jiraiya, she noticed that Yi Chen was not wearing Chunin Jonin's uniform. I didn't expect Yi Chen to be on the battlefield here for so long, hasn't he been promoted to Chunin yet? On the contrary, his own student Minato is already Chunin, and he has killed several enemies. Little devil, why haven't you been promoted to Chunin yet? Look, all of my students Minato are Chunin. Jiraiya said smugly. I only perform some special tasks, so the promotion is slower. Yi Chen said casually. He was afraid of hitting Minato, so he didn't advance at all, but went straight to Jonin and became a special Anbu, a sub-captain level existence. Ahem, do you know why you've been promoted so slowly? That's because you don't have a famous teacher to teach you, kid, your talent is average, but I can teach you with difficulty, how? Jiraiya said. Namikaze Minato was surprised. He didn't expect Mr. Jiraiya to want to accept Yi Chen as a student, but it was better. After becoming seniors, they could learn from each other and make progress together. Idiot. At this time, an angry female voice came over. When Jiraiya heard this, her smile disappeared instantly. Idiot. The words fell, and what followed was a domineering fist. Jiraiya didn't even have time to react, and didn't even do the blocking action, and flew out with a bang. The whole person touched the ground in an exaggerated style like a painting, directly smashing holes in the ground, and finally inserted his head into the soil, and his 2 feet hung on it and swayed from time to time. Tsunade was standing right where Jiraiya had been standing, clenching his iron fist tightly, frowning as if angry. This, Namikaze Minato cried out in fear, sweating all over his head. Mr. Jiraiya, it's really violent. Yi Chen couldn't help but think, he wasn't beaten to death by Tsunade in the original book, which shows how tenacious this person's vitality is. Especially after being inserted into a hedgehog by pain with a steel pipe, all the vital points of his body have been abolished, and it is rare to be able to return to the light with his will. Hearing Minato's call, Jiraiya freed up one hand and made an OK gesture, indicating that there was no need to worry. Then he twisted his body and pulled his head out of the soil. His nose was blue and his face was swollen. He scratched his head and smiled and said, "Tsunade, you're back. But why did you hit me this time?" Tsunade put his arms on his chest and said very seriously, "Yi Chen is my younger brother, you are not allowed to bring him down." "What, isn't your brother that kid Nawaki?" Jiraiya looked confused. "Yeah, when will I have a brother, sister?" A surprised voice came. On the branch of the big tree on the side, I saw a yellow-haired child wearing a Konoha forehead protector squatting on it. This child was younger than Yi Chen, and looked like 6 or 7 years old. The child's eyes are full of curiosity, and the whole body exudes liveliness. When Yi Chen saw this child, he was somewhat similar to Uzumaki Naruto of later generations. "Nawaki, why are you here?" Tsunade looked surprised, as if she didn't even know that her own younger brother had also come to the second ninja battlefield. "Nawaki kid." Jiraiya was also confused. "Wow." Nawaki jumped down from the tree, steadfastly, and walked up to Tsunade. "Spread your arms and get ready to ask Tsunade for a loving hug." Tsunade frowned, and when Nawaki approached, he suddenly stretched out his jade hand and grabbed his ear, and said angrily, "Who asked you to come? Do you know how dangerous it is here?" "It hurts." Nawaki struggled hard, but Tsunade saw that he was so small and weak that he was tightly controlled. But after all, he was his younger brother, Tsunade couldn't really teach him a lesson, he just punished him slightly. Nawaki looked aggrieved, and there were tears of grievance in his big eyes. Then he looked at Yi Chen, full of hostility, and said, "My elder sister has a new younger brother, so don't want me as my own brother." "Humph. What are you talking about? Don't interrupt, when did you come here? Hurry back, don't make trouble," Tsunade said. As far as Nawaki's strength is concerned, it's all about delivering food. "No, why can't my sister come? I can't come, the only man in the Senju family, how can I hide in the back?" Nawaki argued with reason. "You little brat, you're still a man. Hurry back, what did the old third generation think, he would let you over?" Tsunade complained. "Nawaki, your sister is right, this is a battlefield and it is very dangerous," Jiraiya also advised. "Brother Nawaki, Mr. Jiraiya is right," Minato said warmly. "Cut, I'm not afraid. With my new boss covering me, I'm not afraid of any danger," Nawaki said proudly, as if showing off. When Tsunade heard this, he couldn't help covering his face, and his family was unfortunate. What is this? The heir to the dignified Senju clan actually recognizes someone else as the boss. "Grandpa," the old man knew, I'm afraid the lid of the coffin was lifted. She wanted to see who was so daring and had to be beaten to death. "What boss? Who is it?" Tsunade asked. Cough cough. Nawaki's face straightened, he became solemn, ran to the center of several people, and said with a pretense, "My boss is a legend. He comes and goes without a trace. The dragon sees its head and its tail disappears. When the enemy sees him, he flees. He has 3 heads and 6 arms. Courage, so many ninjas dare not move." Everyone listened and looked at each other. Tsunade couldn't help but gave Nawaki a chestnut. 2 smoking bags appear on Nawaki's head. Nawaki put his hand on his bag, bared his teeth and grinned with pain on his face, and said angrily, "Sister, why are you hitting me? 3 heads and 6 arms, is that a human? How vulnerable is the enemy with a roar that smashes through the enemy's sword?" Tsunade said. "Ha ha ha." Jiraiya couldn't help laughing, apparently thinking that this character was impossible, maybe some kind of heroic obsession deep inside Nawaki. I didn't lie to you, and I didn't lie. Nawaki was anxious. Then who are you talking about? Tsunade's tone is not good. He has already clenched his fist again. As long as Nawaki talks nonsense again, he will really teach this guy a good lesson. It's Rakshasa, Anbu Rakshasa. I'm Rakshasa's little brother. Who dares to bully me if he is there? Nawaki said aloud. For the sake of truth, the tears came out, and the tears flickered. Ah, Yi Chen pondered for half a second. Why didn't he know that he had such a younger brother? Tsunade looked at Yi Chen subconsciously, but faced Yi Chen's expressionless face. She also understood that Nawaki must be talking nonsense. Only a few people know Yi Chen's identity. Rakshasa, the genius of that Anbu. Namikaze Minato had apparently heard the name Rakshasa. Rakshasa, it turned out to be him. Jiraiya's face returned to a serious look. During this time, Konoha camp has been wearing Rakshasa 9th team to destroy Rock Shinobi. Although there are 4 people in the 9th team, the real situation is that Rakshasa is one person against more than 20 Rock Shinobi. And kill Rock Shinobi with an absolute advantage. Nonsense, I know Rakshasa, how could it be 3 heads and 6 arms, and how could you know Rakshasa? Tsunade reprimanded, really angry. Nawaki stealing the battlefield is fine, and now he is lying. If he doesn't care about it, he will get it in the future. After speaking, he will hammer his own younger brother on the spot. Then Nawaki took a step forward, grabbed Tsunade's hand tightly, and said expectantly. Sister, fight, I won't fight back, but don't slap in the face. After the fight, tell me what Rakshasa looks like. Is he the rumored 3-headed and 6-armed? Is he very young, very majestic, very haki? Introduce me to know him. I admire him the most. Really, I want to worship him as a teacher. PFF. Tsunade never thought of Nawaki's show. He almost vomited out on the spot. Look what this little boy has to say. Nawaki. Tsunade's roar echoed throughout the Konoha camp, along with Nawaki's howl of course. The whole picture is so miserable, I can't bear to look directly at it. Jiraiya, Namikaze Minato, turned their heads. Yi Chen is speechless. Bears should be beaten. Sister, you really do it. Nawaki covered his face. His nose was blue and his face was swollen, and he wasn't cute at all. Although a man didn't want to be cute, he wanted blood, but didn't he say he wouldn't slap his face? You didn't learn well at a young age, and you lied and worshipped the boss. Who taught you? Tsunade said angrily. Senju's family is such a precious and only seedling. If something goes wrong, the shock caused by it is absolutely extraordinary. Tsunade couldn't help but set his eyes on Jiraiya, murderous and painful. Sanin had a tacit understanding. Jiraiya didn't know Tsunade's thoughts, so he quickly took 2 steps back and explained, Tsunade, I didn't teach it, and I only knew that Nawaki was here. I guarantee it with my personality. Do you have a personality? Tsunade scoffed. This sentence almost choked Jiraiya to death. Ui me who the Rakshasa is. Nawaki cried miserably. I go first. Although this farce is interesting, Yi Chen is not interested in these things. Let's go, Yi Chen kid, did you not consider Lord Jiraiya's proposal just now, be my student? Jiraiya said, obviously not just saying it casually, but really thinking about it. Yeah, Yi Chen, I didn't expect to meet you here again, and we are all ninjas, Yi Chen. As a student of the Jiraiya exam, we can always compete and learn and make progress together. Namikaze Minato looked at Yi Chen with a hint of war and anticipation in his eyes. Yi Chen was slightly taken aback, because he had seen and heard, so he dreamed that Jiraiya was well-intentioned, although there was a little bit of showing off. But if he promises, then Jiraiya will surely teach seriously. In this era, it is very rare to have a strong person close to cage level who is willing to guide. Many civilian ninjas do not necessarily have such an opportunity in their lifetime. Thanks, but I can't do it yet. Yi Chen declined. He was not an unkind person. Then, he left. The smile on Jiraiya's face gradually subsided, became normal, and murmured. Really, haha, was rejected. Then, he scratched his head and laughed deliberately, as if he didn't mind at all. I'm afraid it must be a blow to Mr. Jiraiya, and it will definitely be depressed for a while. Namikaze Minato thought about Jiraiya. Che, Jiraiya, did you take Yi Chen as a student? If you can succeed, will you get your turn? Tsunade said involuntarily. What do you mean? Jiraiya's reflex arc was a little slow. It's nothing, but there are many young people in our Konoha camp now, so don't be a bad guy. Minato, some aspects can be learned from Jiraiya, and some aspects can't be used, understand? Tsunade said. Understood, Tsunade-sama. Namikaze Minato smiled bitterly. It seemed that Mr. Jiraiya was really worrying. Elder sister. Nawaki was coquettish, but Tsunade turned a blind eye and carried him away like a chicken. Teacher, shall we continue training? Namikaze Minato said at this time. Before the words were finished, Jiraiya's original face of Haikuan's spirit collapsed directly, and sighed. I was beaten by Tsunade, scolded again, and rejected by the kid. I am really bad. All of a sudden, Jiraiya was completely overwhelmed with negative energy, her mood was low, and she said weakly. Minato, you practice first. I went to the bathhouse in the country of rain to collect inspiration. Boom. After speaking, the white fog flashed and disappeared directly in place. Namikaze Minato smiled bitterly, helplessly. When he got to his room, Yi Chen took a break to recover his energy. He was planning to leave the camp in 2 days. Now that he had accepted Konan and Yahiko as students, Yi Chen was more concerned about them. At the same time, Yi Chen is also thinking about things other than the Second Ninja World War. Such as Nagato, Black Zetsu, White Zetsu, Old Madara. Although none of these figures directly influenced World War II, there is no doubt that they were definitely not because they were unimportant. On the contrary, they are very important, so important that World War II is nothing compared to them. However, so far, Nagato has not appeared, and there is no trace, and Uchiha Madara and White Zetsu must be hiding in the dark, watching this World War II from the sidelines. Thinking of Uchiha Madara, Yi Chen felt an invisible pressure in his heart. His current strength is not a problem to deal with 30 or 40 ninjas by himself, and he still has spare strength, even Jonin can cut it. But looking at the Fourth Ninja War, the resurrected Uchiha Madara surrounded the 100,000 ninja allied forces alone, one person made the 100,000 ninja dance, and one person defeated the 100,000 ninjas head-on. This level of strength has already surpassed the shadow, not a god, but close to a god. Even though Yi Chen is already very strong now, when he encounters cage level, he has to fight to know who is stronger. If you want to face Uchiha Madara, it is probably not enough to watch. Really, there is no time for rest and relaxation at all. The harsh environment forces me to become the pinnacle of existence in this world. Yi Chen felt a strong sense of oppression whenever he thought that Uchiha Madara was secretly spying on the entire ninja world, and that Black White Zetsu was planning the resurrection of Kagayaji. And this oppression made Yi Chen not dare to relax and be arrogant at all. We can only continue to move forward step by step on the road of the strong, to the final throne, to be king. If you want to be free from oppression, control your destiny, and be at ease, you must become stronger than Uchiha Madara, and even surpass the Otsutsuki clan. By the way, I defeated Chio before, and a silver treasure chest appeared. Although it can't be a rare item like devil fruit, it's not too bad. Yi Chen put down his thoughts, reviewed himself, and then took out the silver treasure chest from the system space. The silver treasure chest floated in midair, emitting a soft glow. With a slight movement of the mind, the mouth of the treasure box slowly moved towards both sides. A strong light shot out, but it was only for a moment. Immediately looking again, I saw a silver card floating at the bottom of the treasure chest. Yi Chen picked up the card, and at the same time the information about the card was fed back into his mind. Skill card. One knife flow. Juhei. Lion Song, a move specially designed for cutting. Its power is like a lightning flint. The opponent not only can't see through, but also can't see the flash of the knife, combining speed and explosion slash. This is Zoro's swordsmanship again, so I'm colliding with Zoro. Yi Chen couldn't help laughing when he saw this. But think about it carefully, although there are many swordsmen in the pirate world, it is very rare that Zoro has so many bells and whistles. Stronger than the world's largest swordsman, Hawkeye, it's just a slash from start to finish. It's just a slash, but I don't know how many dead souls are destroyed. Konoha Station, the other side. Tsunade brought his younger brother Naoki to his tent, with a gloomy face and stern eyes, and the aura he exuded was chilling. In the tent, Naoki lowered his head, looked like he had done something wrong, squeezed his fingers hard, and it seemed that his sister was really angry. Hey, as the only man in the Senju family, it's really hard to be oppressed by my sister so much. Pack up immediately, and I'll send the Anbu guards to take you back. Aren't you here as a child to cause trouble? Tsunade looked at Naoki, full of worry and anger. What happened to the third-generation old man? He actually brought Naoki to the front line. Actually, I sneaked here. Naoki whispered, as if he knew what Tsunade was thinking. What? Run away. You've got a lot of skills. Tsunade's eyes widened, and he was so angry that this child was just too bearish. The old man of the third generation didn't allow me to come. I begged for many times. So I finally decided to secretly follow Konoha's good grass to transport troops. Naoki said. Okay, don't explain, just go back. Tsunade didn't want to ask any more questions, and there might be another earth-shattering event. She was afraid that she couldn't help but beat Naoki again. Besides, what's the point of my brother if he doesn't use it to beat him? When Naoki heard her elder sister insisted on going back, her expression changed drastically, and she said loudly, I won't go back, elder sister, you are fighting on the front line to protect Konoha. How could a man from the Senju family hide behind? Men, do you know what a man is? If you really want to go to the battlefield, you will probably be scared to death. Hurry back to me, don't cause trouble. Tsunade said, rewarding this stupid and innocent brother with a two-finger shot. I don't. Naoki shook his head. He finally got here, how could he go back? You have to go back, or my sister will beat you up. Tsunade raised his arms in demonstration, and Bai Wawa's fist shook in front of Naoki's eyes. Hearing this, Naoki was suffocated, stared at Tsunade, his body twitched slightly, and he took a deep breath, but he couldn't help it and cried loudly. Wow, elder sister, you know how to bully me. I just want to protect you in the village, but why didn't you agree to me and beat me? Sister, I hate you. After saying that, Naoki ran out. Tsunade was stunned. After a while, he slowly recovered. He silently lowered his arm, sighed softly, and said, that fool, immediately followed him out, mainly because he was afraid Naoki would do something stupid. After Tsunade walked out of the camp, he saw Naoki sitting on a rock not far away, sullen and muttering from time to time. Tsunade didn't need to listen to know that he was scolding himself, and it seemed that Naoki resented himself deeply. It's just that Senju's family is such a single seedling, there really can't be any mistakes. Hey, Tsunade also felt very difficult for a while. She approached gently and said, angry. Naoki's out-of-the-way vision saw his sister coming, and he shook his head in anger, ignoring Tsunade. The meaning is obvious, the baby is angry, the kind that can't be coaxed. Tsunade has a grumpy temper, but facing his younger brother, there is nothing he can do. So I still held back my temper and said in a relaxed tone, Naoki, you can stay here if you want. But the premise is that you must listen to me in everything, practice ninjutsu well, and don't play like you are in Konoha. After Naoki heard this, his expression changed and his mind moved, but he still didn't say anything. As long as you listen to me, don't get in trouble, and study ninjutsu seriously, I'll let Rakshasa come to see you. Tsunade threw out a stimulant, a violent bomb. Rakshasa, is this true, sister? You didn't lie to me. Sure enough, after hearing Rakshasa, Naoki's whole person's spirit changed, his face was red, and he was very excited. It's completely different from the previous little air bag. Naoki, you don't know your sister's identity. Will your sister lie to you? Tsunade asked back, the corners of his mouth raised slightly. As expected, he had to use remedies to treat the bare child, although he also compromised a step. But as long as Naoki doesn't go to the frontal battle and stays in the camp, there is no major danger. But I want to see Rakshasa now. Naoki took Tsunade's arm and said coquettishly. Then who just ignored my sister? Tsunade said deliberately, showing a sad look. My sister, I was wrong. I can listen to you in everything. Naoki said earnestly. With a smile on Tsunade's face, he touched Naoki's head and said. I'll take you to see him tonight, but keep it a secret. This is a secret that belongs only to our sister and brother. Aha, no. Naoki looked expectant, bright eyes filled with stars. The resting Yi Chen looked at the sudden arrival of Tsunade, completely unexpected. Tsunade didn't hide it either, and he told Naoki's situation directly. Yi Chen, you can be considered Naoki's older brother anyway. You must help me with this, you can't shirk it. Otherwise, the child will be mad at me. Tsunade pleaded. I don't have such a bearish younger brother. Yi Chen said lightly. Tsunade was looking for him to act with him. Will you help my sister once? Tsunade came close to Yi Chen's body and pulled Yi Chen's arm. Yi Chen kept a distance from Tsunade and said. Yi Chen, sister knows that you'd better be the most obedient. Tsunade was very happy after hearing it. Yi Chen was stunned. This idiot, don't shy away at all. In this regard, Yi Chen complained silently in his heart, but still silently endured the pain. Heaven has sent great responsibilities to the people of this country, and they must first suffer their will. At night, except for the patrolling guards, Konoha camp was silent and basically rested. Yi Chen changed into Anbu costume, wearing leather gloves and a cape, and wrapped his body tightly, then picked up the symbolic Rakshasa ghost face, and walked towards the place agreed with Tsunade. Along the way, I met many Anbu members who were secretly vigilant, but Anbu Rakshasa's identity has changed from what it used to be, and it is on the same level as the sub-captain, only under Anbu's captain. When Anbu met, he just clicked lightly and only made a sound. Soon he came to the woods next to the camp. Tsunade appeared from the side, and said seriously, please. Yeah. Yi Chen glanced at Tsunade, nodded, walked forward, and let himself punish the bear child. It was dark and silent. Senju Naoki was waiting in the forest, feeling a little excited and nervous. When you meet your idol in your heart, it is difficult to suppress your emotions for a while. After he came to the Konoha camp, the most rumors he heard were about Rakshasa. At that time, Tsunade lost contact and was in danger. Naoki sneaked to the front again, Hitaki Tsukumo to protect Naoki. He has been sending Anbu to follow him closely. Although Anbu doesn't speak much, it's not that he doesn't speak. During this time, Naoki often heard people from Anbu discussing Rakshasa, especially Uncle Hitaki, who was full of praise for Rakshasa and regarded him as the future of Konoha and the hero of Konoha. What Naoki wants is the Konoha Miku, the great hero of Konoha. Although he is the grandson of first Hokage, the descendant of the hero. But it is the glory of his ancestors, and it has little to do with himself. He hopes that he will do something big, impress his sister, and reshape the prestige of the Senju family. He was not very old when he found this Rakshasa from Uncle Hitaki's mouth. Naoki once regarded Anbu Rakshasa as the object of his pursuit, and of course he admired and envied. Little devil, you are looking for me. The gloomy voice came from the darkness, like the voice of the underworld under the 9 secluded places, which made people horrified. Naoki's heart lifted in an instant. He looked back, a dark figure slowly appeared in the darkness, but the key point was that the figure walked without making a sound at all, couldn't hear it at all, just like a ghost. Black clothes, black robes, black capes, Rakshasa ghost face, all kinds of characteristics combined, Anbu Rakshasa came. Rakshasa. Naoki was excited and trembling. The pressure of Rakshasa was too strong, and the temperature dropped a lot when he arrived. I heard you were looking for me. Yi Chen said. Under the mask he looked at Senju Naoki lightly. There is no doubt that this sunny and fighting child is a very tragic figure. In the original book, not only did he fall into a trap and die, but his face changed beyond recognition, and even his internal organs were dug up. Naoki's death also directly led to the upheaval of Sanin. Tsunade lost one, fainted, and was addicted to alcohol and gambling. Orochimaru sighs that life is fragile and impermanent, but he is obsessed with the technique of immortality. Not to mention Jiraiya, both of his friends left, so he left to pursue his own path. Although the war is cruel, it is also fair. Because death will not let you go because of your identity. Like Naruto, Naoki is arguably Konoha's strongest relationship, the real grandson. As long as he is willing, he can get the support of the entire Konoha resource. After all, he is the direct bloodline of Senju Hashirama, and he can even become a strong man like Hashirama in the future. Yes, I admire you very much, I admire you. Lord Rakshasa, please accept me as your younger brother. Nawaki said earnestly. You are too weak, any enemy who died at my hands is stronger than you. Yi Chen said indifferently. The invisible murderous aura was released, and the surrounding temperature dropped directly to freezing point. I can become stronger, even surpass Lord Rakshasa in the future. Nawaki said loudly, feeling the terrifying atmosphere around him and the pressure like a mountain. It's hard to even breathe. Then let's wait until you get stronger. Leaving a sentence, whoosh, Yi Chen disappeared without a trace. At this time, Nawaki breathed out and fell to his knees on the ground, breathing heavily, sweating profusely, as if he had come to life again. It's so scary. Such a strong strength, he and he are not at the same level. As if Rakshasa could destroy himself with one finger. After Yi Chen left, Tsunade came out. Looking at Nawaki at this time, he couldn't help but feel annoyed. This brat Yi Chen actually scared Nawaki like this, really. Nawaki, are you all right? Tsunade asked worriedly. I'm fine, sister. Nawaki raised his head. Although his face was covered in cold sweat, he was very excited. I will definitely become stronger, and I will make you recognize me. Nawaki clenched his fists tightly with a determined look on his face. Tsunade was very relieved to see his younger brother so high-spirited. Is that to make Nawaki grow up, or to find him a good teacher? Himself. Forget it, I don't have time. Tsunade rejected him for the first time. This is definitely my sister. Hitaki Tsukumo, the commander of the Second Ninja World War, probably has no time. Jiraiya. Forget it, with a stinky body, Nawaki might be taken badly with him. Yi Chen. She didn't want her lively and sunny brother to turn into a cold and paralyzed face. She felt a little nervous just thinking about it. After much deliberation, I decided to entrust Nawaki to Orochimaru for teaching. Once we come here, we know each other well, and we can rest assured. Orochimaru is a genius again, grandmaster of all kinds of ninjutsu. Although it feels a bit pervert, but his heart is actually warm and he is a good person. Well, it was decided that Orochimaru took the guy. Nawaki still doesn't know that he has been arranged by his sister invisibly. Everything was on the right track. Namikaze Minato followed Jiraiya, Nawaki Orochimaru, Tsunade to chat with Yi Chen from time to time. Of course, most of the time Yi Chen was a listener, listening to Tsunade keep talking in his ear. Then there are the tasks, which are all very simple tasks, no difficulty. In addition, Yi Chen practiced silently, because his strength improved a little bit quickly, so he needed to turn his mind down to realize it again. After the successive losses of Rock Shinobi and Sand Shinobi, they gradually became more honest, and no large-scale battles broke out. The Second Ninja World War is advancing slowly, but everything seems to be the tranquility of the storm. After half a month, Yi Chen received a message from Hitaki Tsukumo. It seemed like something urgent happened. Putting on the cloak and mask, Yi Chen left his room. At this moment, in the headquarters of Konoha Camp, Hitaki Tsukumo was sitting there, next to Jiraiya, and there was another person walking around with a worried look on his face. There were only 3 of them in the entire headquarters. Tsuchikage made a move. They teamed up with Sand Shinobi. Looking at the latest information on the table, Hitaki Tsukumo, who was sitting there, spoke in a deep voice. At this time, Nawaki actually left the camp. Tsunade, don't worry, Jiraiya comforted. Can I be in a hurry? Nawaki has lost the news. Tsunade yelled. It was Tsunade who was walking up and down, when she stopped, with a headache and a look of sadness on her face. And at this moment, Yi Chen wearing a Rakshasa mask walked in. Jiraiya looked at Yi Chen slightly surprised, and felt a vague sense of familiarity, but couldn't remember who it was. What happened, Captain? Yi Chen asked directly after coming in. Seeing Yi Chen coming, Hitaki Tsukumo's expression softened a little. Chapter 111. In the Konoha headquarters, the atmosphere was tense. At this moment, Hitaki Tsukumo, Tsunade, Jiraiya are all here, only Orochimaru is not. And with Tsunade's mood the most unstable, Hitaki Tsukumo is also worried. What happened, Captain? Yi Chen asked. Rakshasa, you are here. Seeing Yi Chen coming, Hitaki Tsukumo was slightly relieved. This is the Rakshasa himself. I heard that the voice is not too old, but his reputation is illustrious. I just don't know if the name is as true as the rumors. Jiraiya looked at the Rakshasa and thought to himself. Although he is a bit mediocre compared to Orochimaru, Tsunade's talent is really mediocre. But compared to the average ninja, he still has some talent. And it is also at the height of youth and heyday. After seeing the Rakshasa, I still vaguely compare in my heart, who is stronger and who is weaker. But no matter how you look at it, you can't see through Yi Chen. This black robe is like a fog that covers people's eyes and cannot be perceived. Therefore, only when Rakshasa makes a move can it be possible to test out its true strength. Iwagakure and Sand Shinobi teamed up to attack the supply line behind us. Hatake Tsukumo's eyes were a little heavy, and he replied to Yi Chen, for nearly half a month, not only one place has been attacked, but almost the entire supply line has been attacked. Just now, Minato was also attacked. If Minato is not a genius, his strength is unreasonable, and there is no way to escape. Hearing Jiraiya's words, Yi Chen was suddenly a little surprised. Co-authoring Namikaze Minato just walked away, and was attacked not long ago. It was really bad luck. However, as a future fourth-generation project, it is impossible to die easily. And Nawaki, the trash Orochimaru actually took Nawaki to escort the supplies. According to the ninja information ahead, the Orochimaru team has been attacked, and there is no news. Tsunade said angrily, smashing the table with a punch. Isn't escorting food supplies a logistical task? Why let Orochimaru do it? Yi Chen looked at Hatake Tsukumo. Sand Shinobi and Rock Shinobi attacked several times in a row. Where are ordinary ninjas their opponents? Most of the supplies are cut off. If there is no timely supply of supplies to the front line, then we Konoha will not be able to persist for a long time, and we will destroy ourselves. That's why Orochimaru is escorted. Hatake Tsukumo explained, also helpless. The main reason is that there were too few Konoha elite backbones in this period, and the new generation of Namikaze Minato did not grow up at all. It was not until the Third Ninja War that the entire Konoha peak had one enemy and four, showing the style of a big country. Yi Chen asked again. The supply unit is actually not far from us. The sneak attack at such a close distance lasted for half a month. Didn't the ninjas on our side react? Reacted, but the opponent obviously didn't fight with us. Especially Sand Shinobi. Rock Shinobi teamed up. The old woman Chio took out the digging puppet and cooperated with Rock Shinobi's Earth-style ninja, and attacked directly from the ground. We couldn't prevent it, and we Konoha Grandmaster Earth-style ninjutsu is very rare, can't catch up with them. And this time Orochimaru is leading the team. There is no news to return for so long. I guess Orochimaru must be trapped and there is no way to pass the news. The most important thing is that Nawaki is following Orochimaru. So I called you here to discuss rescue strategies. Hatake Tsukumo said. Nawaki went too. Yi Chen understood. No wonder Tsunade's face was so anxious. Wrong. In the original book, Nawaki followed Orochimaru on a mission and then fell into an enemy trap and died. Could it be this time? Could it be so coincidental? But what if it is? Yi Chen couldn't help looking at Tsunade. At this moment Tsunade's face was full of sadness. If Nawaki were to have an accident, it would have been a huge blow to Tsunade. In this world, apart from himself, Yi Chen doesn't really care about many people. Hearing this, Jiraiya also said in a deep voice, yes, the Rock Shinobi and Sand Shinobi troops are not weak. I was in charge of their affairs before and fought with them many times, but once I pass Earth-style or dig a puppet, if you escape underground, there is nothing you can do about them. Even if they bury the detonator in the ground, our loss is not small. And the most important point, because it is difficult to catch their tracks, so you don't know where they will emerge from the next moment, so if you want to deal with them, you need a very fast ninja, so that you can react quickly and quickly. Support. Rakshasa, that's why I want you to take action. Hatake Tsukumo said. Actually, my body flicker technique is not bad, Mr. Hatake. Jiraiya volunteered. I'm going too. I have to save Nawaki, he must need me very much right now. Tsunade said immediately, feeling a little out of control. Tsunade, you stay at the camp, Rakshasa and Jiraiya go. Hatake Tsukumo said. No, Jiraiya, you stay here, I'll go with Rakshasa. Tsunade refused. What? Jiraiya was a little confused. Hatake Tsukumo is also helpless, no one wants to be in this situation, but he still said, Tsunade, the camp needs you more. If Rakshasa and Jiraiya take action, they will be able to bring Naoki back. And you are emotionally unstable now, it's easy to get out of control. Tsunade, I think Hataki-sama is right. I will definitely bring Naoki back. Jiraiya swore. But Tsunade didn't want it at all, so he had to refute. However, at this time, a palm suddenly rested on Tsunade's shoulder, accompanied by a cold voice. Don't worry, I assure you that your brother will come back safely. Hey, where are your hands? When Jiraiya saw that Rakshasa actually put his hand on Tsunade's shoulder, she couldn't help but say. Remember the last person who did this, the grave head grass is already 2 meters high. Unfortunately, the truth is the opposite. Tsunade looked at Yi Chen and said slowly. You said it, I believe you. What the hell? Jiraiya was stunned, showing a pained expression on her face. Some kind of bad guess popped up in my mind. Tsunade wouldn't be interested in this kid, how could he be so obedient? Seeing this, Hataki Sakumo nodded slightly and said, this time, Jiraiya, you are the leader, and Rakshasa will assist you. Hearing this, Jiraiya showed a bit of pride. But then Hataki Sakumo's words made him sad. Also, Jiraiya, Rakshasa is only assisting you, but for efficiency and special circumstances, he can act alone at any time according to his own ideas. You even have to cooperate with Rakshasa, understand? Jiraiya was speechless, it would be better to directly assist Rakshasa. But if you think about it carefully, Anbu ninjas are directly under Anbu's system, and even if they assist Konoha's Jonin or Elite Jonin in their actions, they have no right to directly order Anbu. And in some respects, Anbu is indeed more professional than himself. Regarding the completion of the rescue strategy, Jiraiya and Yi Chen quickly prepared and went to support immediately. Where the land of rain and the land of fire meet. Orochimaru took Naoki through the forest, with a number of ninjas chasing him. Earth style. Earth formation wall. Bang bang bang. Several of them, rock shinobi, formed their seals at the same time, slapped their hands on the ground, and blocks of earth suddenly rose from the ground. The earth wall was in the air, directly blocking Orochimaru and their hard line of escape. Orochimaru and Naoki fell on a giant tree, posing defensively. The faint yellow snake's vertical pupils glanced around, and Orochimaru silently sensed the surrounding movement. Snakes are originally very sensitive creatures. Teacher, we are surrounded, Naoki said, looking nervous. Yes. Orochimaru heard Naoki's voice, and the tense brain nerves suddenly loosened a lot. If he was alone, he would be able to escape from this group of sand shinobi and rock shinobi ninjas. But there is also a Naoki, so it is absolutely impossible to escape safely with Naoki. If it were someone else, Orochimaru would definitely not care. He was inherently cold-blooded, selfish, and ruthless. But Naoki is Tsunade's younger brother and his only student. Because he trusted Tsunade, he entrusted his younger brother to himself, and he couldn't let Tsunade down no matter what. And I really like this little devil who shouts to be Hokage all day long. Passionate about life, longing, naive, frank. This is the heir to the will of fire. Whoosh whoosh. All around, on the tree trunks, a heavily armed ninja appeared. On the ground, Sand Shinobi's digging puppet broke out, waiting for an opportunity. Originally, they just intercepted the Konoha supply route, thus making the Konoha front line deadlocked. But I didn't expect to jump to a big fish this time. One is third Hokage's student and the other is Senju Hashirama's grandson. Catching any of them or killing them can have a huge impact on Konoha. Sand Shinobi's team leader is still Chiyo, and there are 4 Jonin Shinobi. The digging puppet is her masterpiece. The leader of Rock Shinobi is a man with a dark body, a strong body, and looks not small, and his strength is definitely in the ranks of elite Jonin. He is the right hand of Onogi at Rock Shinobi Village, Earth Stone, Grandmaster Earth-style ninjutsu. Hey, I didn't expect the famous Cage consultant Chiyo Granny to take action, as well as Rock Shinobi's Jonin soil. I'm really honored to be here. Orochimaru said sullenly, subconsciously sticking out his tongue and licking his lips, revealing a dangerous aura. Orochimaru, killing you, Hokage should feel bad. Rock Shinobi said with a grim smile, gearing up. The last person who wanted to kill the next person is already dead. I hope you are not the next one. Orochimaru said coldly, Smiling with his hands and feet, he took out a 3-foot-long ninja sword from behind and held it in front of him. Before becoming a Sannin, Orochimaru was a master of swordsmanship in addition to the 5 elements of ninjutsu. Anbu Captain White Fang is famous for his swordsmanship. He traverses the ninja world and kills the enemy with fear. He is the captain of Anbu's 3rd team. There is no reason why he can't. And in such an era background, the real powerful ninja is not only the Grand Master of Ninjutsu but also the Grand Master of Taijutsu. In later generations, after Orochimaru was sealed with both hands, he used physique to perform Four Tails Naruto. Although he was beaten badly by Four Tails, he can also see how powerful his physical skills are. You must know that the red-tailed beast turned Jinchuriki is definitely a weapon of war, and no ordinary ninja dares to approach it wherever he goes to destroy it. However, Orochimaru is fighting back and forth, and his physical strength can be seen from this point. So many ninjas, in order to save chakra, Orochimaru decided to use swordsmanship to solve the enemy first, and he couldn't fight, and he had to find a way to escape. Last time I let Tsunade run away, this time you Orochimaru can't run away no matter what. Pay for the dead Sand Shinobi ninja. Chiyo waved his hand and looked decisive, and dozens of Sand Shinobi came to Orochimaru one after another. Nawaki, follow me. You protect yourself, Orochimaru said. Okay. Nawaki followed Orochimaru closely. Kill. Orochimaru moved, and his figure suddenly disappeared like a ghost, disappearing everywhere, accompanied by a cold and stern sword light. Then every time it appears, it will definitely kill an enemy ninja. Soon his Jonin vest was infested with the blood of the enemy, and his face was covered in hot blood. It seems like a natural slayer, a fighting maniac. Orochimaru's pupils are frantic, and the battle warms his already cold blood again. Ha ha ha. He laughed wildly, unleashed his nature, and showed that gloomy and distorted smile. Another knife wiped the enemy's neck decisively. Orochimaru enjoyed the fragrance of the enemy's blood, put the ninja sword in front of him, stuck out his tongue and licked the blood on the blade, and his eyes were on the surrounding ninjas. At this moment, Orochimaru is not the prey, never was. He is a natural hunter. Even Nawaki, who is a student, is horrified by Orochimaru at this moment. The teacher is a bit pervert. I'm excited to kill someone. Although Orochimaru was happy to kill, Jonin of Rock Shinobi and Sand Shinobi would never allow Orochimaru to go on like this. Especially Chiyo. Sand Shinobi has a small number of people, but can't help but consume so much. She took out a scroll and prepared to summon a battle puppet. However, the puppets this time are naturally not as powerful as the 10 people in Jinsong, they are just some ordinary puppets. But in the hands of a puppet master like her, ordinary puppets are enough to turn corruption into magic. Secret art. Machine replay. Chiyo stretched out his hands, the fingertips of 10 fingers, and the chakra line spread out, connecting to every link of the puppet. A new storm is coming. Faced with a veteran quasi-cage level powerhouse, how will Orochimaru now deal with it? On the other side, Yi Chen and Jiraiya had already left the Konoha camp and rushed to the rescue at full speed. On the way, Jiraiya wanted to try this Rakshasa's instant speed. Is it really as good as Hatake Tsukumo said? So, Jiraiya kept accelerating, and finally raised his speed to the limit. Beside Jiraiya, Yi Chen followed in a relaxed manner. Even if Jiraiya was raised to full speed, Yi Chen didn't seem to have any changes. At this time, Jiraiya was convinced that Anbu Rakshasa was really powerful. Along the way, Yi Chen remained silent. One of the reasons is that Yi Chen is taciturn, and he is not familiar with Jiraiya, so his speech is probably polite and nonsense, so why waste time? Another reason is that Yi Chen is in a bad mood right now. Since he promised Tsunade to bring Nawaki back safely, he must bring it back. If Nawaki dies, I don't know how to face Tsunade in the future. So at this time, I hated Sand Shinobi and Rock Shinobi. They were full of murderous intentions. Jiraiya, who was walking side by side with Yi Chen, suddenly felt the temperature drop, and her heart was cold. Secretly wondering where this feeling came from, Jiraiya's eyes inadvertently touched Yi Chen's indifferent eyes under Shira's ghost face, and she trembled inexplicably, slightly shocked. This murderous look, this Asura-like murderous aura is almost real, plus the speed just now, this guy's strength is definitely strong, he should be stronger than me. Jiraiya's expression became slightly solemn, and she secretly respected this mysterious Rakshasa. The strong are respected wherever they go. This is an iron rule that has remained unchanged since ancient times in the ninja world. Rakshasa, there is a temporary camp of our Konoha between the land of fire and the land of rain. These are the forces used to defend the joint attack of rock shinobi and sand shinobi. If Orochimaru and the others are still alive, they will definitely go there to seek help, said Jiraiya. What do you mean? Yi Chen couldn't help looking at Jiraiya. The battlefield of the ninja world is vast and involves 3 major ninja villages. The two of us only know some general directions, and it is a little difficult to find Orochimaru and Nawaki. The temporary station is at the border, and there are also many Anbu and sensory ninjas who are good at tracking. We can go there first to get information, Jiraiya said. Hearing the words, Yi Chen pondered for a while, and felt that it was feasible. Although he could perceive, but the scope was limited. Although there is some anxiety in my heart, the more this is the case, the more chaotic it is. Effective intelligence and organizational skills are also of great help in handling tasks. Okay, go to the station first. Yi Chen agreed. Hearing this, Jiraiya breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. He was afraid that Rakshasa would go his own way, and the pressure that Rakshasa put on him was not ordinary. To be honest, although Jiraiya is older than Yi Chen and entered the battlefield earlier, if it is really compared to the number of kills, Jiraiya is definitely not half as good as Yi Chen. This is also the main reason why Jiraiya, as an elite Jonin, is close to Quennying's strength level, but is still suppressed by Yi Chen in terms of momentum. If there was no war, Jiraiya might have been a novelist. And what Yi Chen would have turned out to be is anyone's guess. Konoha border, in the temporary camp. A group of ninjas, Anbu ninjas are always on call, and once the rock shinobi sand shinobi joint force emerges from somewhere, harassing the Konoha supply force and launching an attack, they will quickly support. But at this time, it was of no use, as most of the enemy coalition forces had gone to track Orochimaru. It is rare to catch a big fish, who cares about small shrimps? At this time, Namikaze Minato was also in this camp. Master Jiraiya. Seeing Jiraiya and Yi Chen walking in, some ninjas saluted them too. Jiraiya nodded, then asked, any news from Orochimaru? Not yet. One ninja wire reported. Namikaze Minato stood by, watching this Anbu wearing a Rakshasa mask standing there from start to finish. He didn't say a word, but Yi Chen's faint aura made all the ninjas present couldn't help but look at him. Is this the creation of a new legend in the ninja world, Rakshasa? Strong, strong. From this temperament and momentum alone, one can feel the strength of Rakshasa. Coming to the battlefield of the Second Ninja World War, Yi Chen has experienced many battles, and his aura is almost completely formed. His aura was not just cold and bloody, but violent and domineering, as well as invincible. Teacher Jiraiya, who is this Anbu? Namikaze Minato couldn't help but ask even though he had guessed the identity of the Rakshasa. Minato, he is the special Anbu Rakshasa. Jiraiya briefly introduced Yi Chen to Minato, and then said, this time we are doing a rescue mission together, mainly with Rakshasa as the lead. After thinking about it, Jiraiya still said that Rakshasa is the leader. Because he is not Anbu, he is not as good at handling this task as Anbu. It's really him. Although he heard that Anbu in front of him was the famous Rakshasa, the expressions of the ninjas present changed, showing admiration and reverence. However, Namikaze Minato frowned slightly while looking at Yi Chen's figure in amazement, feeling a vague sense of familiarity. Just when Namikaze Minato's expression was solemn and lost in thought, the ninjas in the field all discussed how to deal with the rock shinobi sand shinobi combined force and how to rescue Orochimaru. After discussing for a long time, there was no result, and everyone had a headache. Jiraiya also kept frowning, turned her head to look at Yi Chen, who had been silent, and said, Rakshasa, do you have any good ideas? It's very simple. We all leave the camp to carry out rescue operations, and we must ensure the safety of the target. As for rock shinobi sand shinobi, when they reappear, just kill them all. Yi Chen responded calmly. Jiraiya's tone suddenly became stagnant, and her expression became slightly stiff, with an embarrassed look on her face. And kill all the family forces. If it's really that easy to kill, Orochimaru can escape the danger alone. But in fact, Orochimaru can, and the strongest among Sannin is Orochimaru. Orochimaru is decisive and ruthless. He can't be merciful to these coalition forces, but he is worried because there is Naoki by his side. Jiraiya didn't know what to say for a while. Rakshasa was the leader, and the two couldn't disagree and collide. At this moment, a message instantly broke the deadlock in the field. I found the location of Orochimaru-sama. He is rushing towards the camp, and a large number of enemy ninjas are chasing him. When the news of Orochimaru and the enemy's disappearance and reappearance came, the originally tense atmosphere in the entire camp instantly rose to ultimate. The only thing that was out of place was Yi Chen, who was sitting next to Jiraiya. Hearing the news of the reappearance of the enemy coalition forces and Orochimaru, Yi Chen's eyes showed a hint of coldness. He sat up slightly, and murderous intent surged out. Jiraiya didn't talk nonsense, and said directly, "Rakshasa, shall we act?" It's just that no one returned him. He turned his head and saw that the seat was empty. Yi Chen's people had already disappeared. About 2 kilometers from the makeshift camp, Orochimaru led Naoki through the woods quickly. At this time, Orochimaru was covered in blood, a little embarrassed and panting, but he still broke through and headed towards the Konoha base on the border. "Teacher, you are amazing." Naoki couldn't help but praise. "Naoki, the Konoha temporary camp is in front. It is estimated that there are already ninjas coming to meet them. You go first, and I will kill some enemies later," Orochimaru said. It's not Orochimaru's style to be hunted down, and Naoki's strength is difficult to play around. "Okay, teacher." Naoki didn't hesitate, and simply agreed. Hearing this, Orochimaru smiled evilly, then stopped on a tree trunk, looked at the enemy behind, and murmured, "You wait for so long, and I." Boom! A series of explosions came from behind. Orochimaru slowly turned his head and looked over in disbelief. His heart sank. "Naoki." "Orochimaru, this is my brother Naoki." "Hello Orochimaru teacher." "Orochimaru, I can give my brother to you, teach him well." "Well, Tsunade, I will." Bang bang bang. Following the continuous explosions, Orochimaru looked at the shattered ground in front of him that was blown up by the detonating talisman, and suddenly panicked and was at a loss. Naoki is just a genin. Even if his talent is excellent, how can he resist such a detonating talisman trap against him? He's blaming himself now that Naoki shouldn't have let Naoki go on his own for the last part of the road. I didn't expect that the enemy would actually plant a detonating talisman early in this segment. At the same time, Chio and Rock Shinobi Jonin and a group of allied ninjas rushed over. "It's a pity that Orochimaru didn't blow up you. It just killed a kid," she too said condescendingly while standing on the tree. "Hehe, the old digging puppet has already planted a detonating talisman trap around the Konoha stronghold. Orochimaru, your Jonin is naturally ineffective against you, but it can stop the people who came to rescue you. It's just a kid. It's a pity to break in," Chio said slowly. He. Orochimaru let out a sullen smile, looking like a madman, looking really angry. Chio looked at Orochimaru at the moment, frowning secretly. This Orochimaru exuded a very dangerous atmosphere, even she felt horrified. "Teacher, I'm fine." Just as Orochimaru was about to slaughter the group of enemy ninjas with all his might, a young voice reached his ears. This voice, like an angel, suddenly illuminated Orochimaru's darkened heart. "Naoki." Orochimaru hurriedly looked to see where Naoki was. But at the next moment, a dark shadow suddenly appeared from the center of the detonating talisman trap. This black shadow moved forward at a very fast speed, as if flickering. "Who is that?" "The ninja of Konoha. How can it be so fast?" Sand Shinobi, Rock Shinobi allied forces were shocked. Chio looked at the shadow and felt ominous. "This is it." Orochimaru looked incredulous. When the shadow stopped, everyone saw the Comer. Dressed in a black cloak, the whole body is wrapped in black, and a Rakshasa ghost face. Behind Rakshasa, Naoki came out unharmed. "Naoki, are you alright?" Orochimaru asked quickly. "I'm fine, thanks to Rakshasa for saving me." Naoki looked at Yi Chen with admiration on his face, but he didn't expect that he was actually saved by Rakshasa. This is his idol, the target of chasing. Rakshasa. Orochimaru looked at Yi Chen with a hint of gratitude in his eyes. He knew Yi Chen's true identity. "I just didn't expect Yi Chen to actually save Naoki," and looking at him, he came out of the detonating charm trap, as if he was not hurt at all. It's really awesome. Likewise, Yi Chen breathed a sigh of relief, but luckily he arrived ahead of time, otherwise Nawaki would have fallen into the detonating talisman trap just like the original. If Nawaki were to die, I don't know how much turmoil there would be. Leave it to me next, Jiraiya will come over soon. Yi Chen said. Rakshasa, do you want to face them alone? Orochimaru asked. Not to face, but to leave them all here. Yi Chen said coldly, but the murderous intent revealed invisibly made people like Orochimaru tremble. Really strong, so pure killing intent. Not even weaker than himself. Orochimaru is not a good person in the first place, he is ruthless, especially when he kills many enemies on the battlefield, his murderousness is much stronger than that of Jiraiya. Rakshasa, Chio said with a little panic. Old woman, last time I let you run away, stay here this time. Yi Chen flicked his arm, bang, the demon sword Yanmo appeared in his hand. Holding the Enma, at this moment he once again incarnates the enemy's Shinigami, the Rakshasa evil spirit. Above the demon sword, the purple demonic energy slowly spilled out, exuding ominous and strangeness. This knife is amazing. Orochimaru's eyes showed a hint of surprise. So handsome. Nawaki's eyes were full of little stars. Seeing the fully armed Rakshasa full of murderous intent, Chio was frightened, she took 2 steps back, and to be honest, she had no intention of fighting. With the puppet in her hand, she couldn't stop the Rakshasa from killing her at all. Shitu, Laoshan suggested to evacuate. The opponent is Rakshasa, we may not be his opponent. Chio said to Rock Shinobi Jonin. She too frowned, this is withdrawn. He has naturally heard of the fame of Rakshasa, and dozens of ninjas from the 2 teams of Rock Shinobi were killed by this man. But now there are more than 50 ninjas on both sides and nearly 8 injured, can't they help Rakshasa? No matter how powerful Rakshasa is, he is still human. Humans have weaknesses. Rock Shinobi's temper is always stubborn, and Kaido, if you retreat now, everything you have done before will be in vain. Grandma Chio, you are a Mingju of the ninja world, and you are so afraid of Rakshasa. Chio heard the words, she was speechless. She wasn't afraid of Rakshasa, but Rakshasa's ability completely overcame the puppet master, and she didn't have 1 out of 10 puppet masters in the last battle, so how can she fight Rakshasa again now? Chio as Zunying naturally has her own pride. Rakshasa's strength is strong, but as long as she is given time to create a puppet that restrains Rakshasa's ability, she can defeat Rakshasa and wash away the shame. But definitely not now. The right time and place are not on their side, because Konoha's support came soon. You are Rakshasa, I am Rock Shinobi Anbu Squadron Leader. I have heard of your name a long time ago, but others are afraid of you. I am not afraid of you, I will let you all stay here today. Yan Tu shouted loudly. She too, who are you Shi-Mu, and what kind of terracotta, red earth? I accidentally killed them all last time. Yi Chen said in a situation. Idiot, Shi-Mu is my younger brother. Yan Tu was furious, and then his hands quickly formed a seal and patted the ground. Earth style. Rock movement technique. Boom. The earth suddenly cracked in front of this rock shinobi, and from the cracked place, the whole earth seemed to turn into a piece of paper. It was lifted up in an instant, and swept toward Yi Chen and the others. Whooping. The stones kept splashing, and the earth rolled backwards, as if it had turned into a monstrous ocean wave, giving people a sense of landslides and earth cracks. However, facing this move, Yi Chen didn't even have the slightest idea of retreating. Stepping on directly, Yi Chen held Yan Mo with one hand and waved it suddenly. Laugh. Invisibly, there was a roar of swords in the void. The demon sword, Yan Mo, instantly turned into a black sword, mixed with purple demonic energy, and your black slash suddenly flashed. The land that swept in like a wave was cut into 2 sections in an instant. Just like cutting tofu, there is no hindrance. For an elite Jonin to use ninjutsu, the impact is absolutely huge. Especially for Earth-style ninjas, the earth is the basic substance that makes up the world. Shizuo performed advanced ninjutsu, rock movement. The whole ground is undulating, twisting and shaking like the sea. The soil in a radius of hundreds of meters gathered together to form a huge torrent of mud and rocks, which annihilated everything like rolling ordinary waves, and the ground shook and the mountains shook. Such a large-scale high-level ninjutsu is definitely a big killer on the frontal battlefield, enough to kill thousands of people in an instant. However, it was just such a move, but it was cut in the middle by Yi Chen's slashing attack. The black slashing wave turned into a black ray, like opening up the world. Zirui's unstoppable edge split the earth into two. At this moment, everyone felt a creepy coldness. It seems that at this moment, all the things in the world are insignificant in front of this knife. That's not all, the aftermath of the black knife's slash also split the ground in two. The ninja hiding in the ground was directly cut into two pieces, and countless blood surged from the ground to the ground. What? My rock movement technique was smashed from the front. It was cut with a single knife. The leader of the rock shinobi unit, she too, looked at this scene and immediately showed a hint of shock. Even if a strong man like Orochimaru faced his move, he had to dodge or block it, and it was almost as difficult to break through it head-on. But Rakshasa was right in front of him, slashing his sword abruptly, understatement, and at the same time charged directly towards him. It's so fast that it's hard to react. Cut. The black knife had already landed on his neck, the stone and soil only felt cold on his head and feet, and his body stiffened. Ninja puppet. Substitute. At this time, Chio pulled his hands together, the thread of chakra shook, and two ordinary puppets broke out of the ground, directly blocking the stone and soil. Clang. A harsh metal clashing sound came out. Pulling the stone out of the panic, Chio's scolding came from his ear. Now, if you don't run away, when will you wait? Sand Shinobi and Rock Shinobi, while working together now, are still hostile in nature. It stands to reason that Chio doesn't have to save the stone and soil at all, but stepping on it to death is good for Sand Shinobi. Doesn't the weakening of the enemy's strength indirectly open the gap between the strength and weakness of oneself? But this is not the case. They provoke the evil star of Rakshasa. If Rock Shinobi died, they would not be able to escape on the 8th or 9th floor. Rather than that, it would be better to save the rock and soil, and let the rock and soil attract firepower to their Sand Shinobi. She too is Jonin anyway, so it can be delayed for a while. I have to say, Chio is very thoughtful. Unfortunately, the two ordinary puppets only blocked Yi Chen for a moment, and the next moment, Yanmo slashed the puppet. The incomparable blade slashed down again, carrying endless coldness and murderous aura, and between the electric light and flint, the stone and soil hurriedly turned away. But it was still a step too late, and Yanmo's sword chi-rubbed his right arm, severing it like cutting tofu. As a Jonin with an extraordinary mind, an arm is nothing compared to life and death. An instant opened a distance of dozens of meters from Yi Chen. Withdraw. With a loud roar, he slapped the ground with his only remaining arm, and his entire body sank suddenly, as if the ground had turned into a swamp, and he would dive into the ground the next moment. On the other hand, Chio saw that Rakshasa attacked Rock Shinobi first, and also led Sand Shinobi to run away. But this run is not on the ground, but underground. The digging golems quickly burrowed into the ground, and the Sand Shinobi burrowed into the ground like gophers. However, Rock Shinobi escaped on the ground, except for a part that went into the soil. This is the genius of Chio, and it is intentional. Compared with the underground, the people on the ground are better for Rakshasa to kill, and this time it is basically Sand Shinobi who controls the digging puppets. As expected by Chio, Yi Chen is indeed going to hunt down ground ninjas, about 20 or 30 ninjas. Whoosh. Ghost force. Shave. Yi Chen burst into the strongest speed, the ground shattered with his feet, like the roar of thunder. Even the afterimage did not seem to teleport, silently, appearing on the top of Rock Shinobi Jonin's head. Not good. She too, the leader of the Rock Shinobi unit, showed a look of horror on his face. He never expected Yi Chen to explode at such a speed at this time. Too fast. Is this still the speed that humans can have? At this time, 2/3 of his body was submerged in the swamp, and only one head was left on the ground, and the next moment he would completely sink into the ground. It only takes a second for him to escape. This second of time is like a year for him at this moment. Facing Yi Chen, the sword fell, because he lost an arm and his whole body was in the mud, and now he can't make a seal for the time being. He could only grit his teeth and stretch out his only arm to resist, and his arms were covered with a thick layer of iron skin with scales, similar to defensive armor. But in front of Yi Chen, for the demon sword Yanmo, defense is not enough. Laugh. Yanmo fell, blood splattered everywhere, a head flew flying, blood spilled over the rock and soil to kill this Jonin. Yi Chen's killing footsteps did not fall, and glanced at the rest of the rock shinobi who were running away. Use the strange force again. Shave, and explode the speed that is rare in the world. His whole person turned into a fierce black light, tore apart the void, and slashed down with the sword light. One knife flow. Aye, lion song. One after another, the black blade light is vertical and horizontal, like black lightning that is unstoppable. Rock shinobi, who was still running away, didn't know what was going on. The first second he was fine, but the next second he actually saw his running body. It turned out that in silence, his head had already taken a step forward. One sword flow. 36 troubles. Slashing like a cannon, dozens of swords were smashed like Uzumaki, and rock shinobi who fell into it was like Ling Kai, and was slashed by thousands of knives. For a while, the world seemed to turn bloody. The screams are endless, the headless corpse, the stump, the horrified face, the surging blood. There is a chill between heaven and earth, and life is constantly being harvested. In the back, seeing this scene like purgatory, Nawaki was speechless for a long time. This is the real Rakshasa. Killing people like numbness. The ninjas fled when they heard the wind, and they didn't even have the courage to resist. Nawaki said, his expression trembling. Orochimaru had a solemn expression on his face, looking at Yi Chen who killed rock shinobi Sand Shinobi by himself not far away. He was extremely fearful in his heart. What the hell was this kid's heart doing? How could he be so cold-blooded, murderous and ruthless at such an age? For a moment, rock shinobi's screams and fear gradually subsided, because they were basically killed and fell in a pool of blood, with deep fear in their eyes. When a person's strength reaches a certain level, then the number is nothing. Yi Chen stopped, although Yan Mo slaughtered dozens of rock shinobi's blood and lives, but there was still no blood left on the black blade. Or, this was originally a bloodthirsty magic knife. The wisps of purple demonic energy spilled out, looking very strange and ominous. There seemed to be a whisper of a demon, and the creepy laughter came from the abyss, which made people feel cold. Yi Chen stood in the sea of blood and the mountain of corpses, with a calm expression under the Rakshasa mask. Even though he killed so many people, he didn't feel anything, and even wanted to continue. Rakshasa. Although Nawaki had experienced the battlefield this time, he had never seen such a scene before. Looking at the broken limbs and wreckage all over the place, even pervert's Orochimaru teacher was not so cruel. His pupils reflect the endless blood, corpses, and the fearful expressions of those people. Ouch! Nawaki vomited. He was still a child after all. What? Yi Chen moved slightly, as if he had discovered something, and the corners of his mouth rose slightly, revealing a devilish smile. Underground. In fact, although Chio burrowed into the ground, he did not retreat immediately, but watched Yi Chen slaughter rock shinobi's normal battle. Frightened, shocked, such a murderous person, this kind of person should not live in the world at all. When did Konoha appear this evil star? The White Fang is even more terrifying. Although White Fang's name was created through killing, he was not as cruel and bloodthirsty as Rakshasa, and he did not leave any way to survive. Under the ground, Chio can observe everything on the ground through the digging puppet. Rakshasa's movements stopped, and she set her eyes on Rakshasa. As if feeling something, Rakshasa also looked at Chio who was underground. The eyes of the two met for a moment across the ground. This frightened Chio, and her heart sank. Could it be that Rakshasa found herself, or that Rakshasa's eyes could still see them through the earth? Rakshasa has no white eyes, and can't see through. Fake. I must be dazzled, thinking too much. Chio comforted herself silently, but Rakshasa's next action shattered her fantasy. Rakshasa, who had stopped moving, once again raised the blade of the demon that slaughtered countless people. Could it be? Seeing this scene, Orochimaru's pupils shrank, thinking of something. Give you a chance, don't run, then stay. Cut. After shaking his head, Yi Chen's eyes flashed with cold light and crazy murderous intent. He suddenly raised Yan Mo, and then slashed fiercely towards the ground below. Clang! A crescent-shaped black slash carrying emission haki split the earth in an instant, and submerged into the earth. The crescent moon rushes into the sky. Using Shinigami's move, Yi Chen's body jumped into the air. The blade of Yan Mo swung down one after another, and the black crescent moons dashed into the ground one after another. This black sword is extremely sharp, and it can easily break through the earth's defense layer. Although the sand shinobi in the ground has escaped, he does not dare to dive too deep, and it is basically the depth below the surface. Yi Chen's blade air shock wave can cut even fine iron, not to mention the soft soil. Run! Chiyo roared with grief and indignation, not expecting this evil star to make such a deadly attack, leaving no way out. After that, drive the digging golem quickly to escape. But the rest of the ninjas don't have her speed. The backward ones were directly cut off by the black sword chi that swept the ground, cut in half. Another silent slaughter. One by one, Sand Shinobi once again followed in the footsteps of Rock Shinobi, facing the fatal slash they couldn't resist at all. Yi Chen waved the crescent moon for dozens of times in a row before stopping, because these were all made with emission haki, which was too exhausting. The results are also very big. In observation haki, the number of Sand Shinobi is decreasing. 1, 2, 3. But that's not enough. The initiators who almost brought Senju Nawaki down must die here. This will calm his murderous aura. Immediately, he raised his leg. His leg was instantly wrapped in the color of the weapon, and then he stomped on the ground below. Heaven's feet. This is one of Tsunade's stunts of supernatural power, concentrating his power on his footsteps, and then smashing into the ground with the power to split the earth. And even more powerful after arming haki. Boom! The maddening force of the guardian feet exploded, slamming straight into the ground, and wherever it went, even the hard rocks were constantly shattering, and finally mixed with the cracked soil. Waves of strange power waves continued to be transmitted to the ground. Makes the underground area shrink suddenly. The rock layer was continuously squeezed by the strange force, and the weak Sand Shinobi were killed by the strange force at that moment. Bang bang bang. Yi Chen is constantly stepping on the ground, the mountains are shaking, trampling the earth like a giant ape in the wild. Chiyo, who was underground, ran away desperately, seeing the sharp decrease in the number of ninjas around her, and finally she was the only one left. She just felt extremely aggrieved and depressed. Wow! He spit out a mouthful of old blood directly, his anger attacked his heart, and his eyes were black. Konoha Rakshasa, the old man swears to kill you. Chiyo roared with grief and anger, but the body was still very honest and used the digging puppet to escape desperately. But of course she vomited blood while running, because the aftermath of the strange force swept in continuously, bombarding her chest like a sledgehammer, breaking her bones. The ground continued to roar under Yi Chen's feet, the ground kept cracking, and even a large-scale collapse appeared in the end. The excited Yi Chen had to change his footing and continue to trample. And those Sand Shinobi ninjas underground are almost out of shape at this time. In the end, I don't know how many waves of strange force impacted, and the entire earth in a radius of 1,000 meters above smashed down, burying them directly with terrifying power. Except for Chiyo again, this time the Sand Shinobi Rock Shinobi coalition was wiped out. At the same time, Jiraiya, Namikaze Minato and others finally arrived in a hurry. Seeing the situation on the field, Jiraiya, who arrived first, suddenly showed a look of surprise on her face. The whole earth seemed to be smashed into a big hole by Yi Chen, showing the intensity of the battle. Orochimaru, Nawaki, are you all right? Jiraiya immediately asked when she saw her friend and her brother. We're okay, Rock Shinobi and Sand Shinobi are okay. Orochimaru's face showed a creeping smile. What do you mean? Jiraiya scratched her head not understanding what was going on. Mr. Jiraiya, there are a lot of Rock Shinobi corpses there. Namikaze Minato pointed in the direction of Rock Shinobi's escape earlier, with a look of shock on his face. It was a purgatory. There is blood coming out of the ground. Nawaki trembled and pointed at Yi Chen's feet, his face pale. Although it was said that he had experienced the battlefield many times and had seen death, the ninjas in front of them were still stunned and trembling when they saw this scene. First of all, on the ground, the corpses were covered with blood, and there were mutilated corpses everywhere. Even though they were used to seeing bloody scenes after hundreds of battles, they couldn't help frowning, and they felt their stomachs swell and vomit. And there was only one person standing. Stepping on the enemy's corpse, black clothes and black robes, black knives, Rakshasa ghost face, such as the Shira battlefield, gloomy hell. Anbu, Rakshasa, I have never heard of it before. It is famous for the Second World War of Ninja World, and it is known to everyone. The record achieved along the way is also striking and shocking. The first battle was to kill Rock Shinobi's 20 ninjas by one person, including many Jonin. Secondly, rescue the Senju family Princess Tsunade alone, and fight against Sand Shinobi, killing more than 30 ninjas in a row, including Sand Shinobi's famous mother-in-law Chiyo. This is the strongest advisor under the shadow of the wind, and the pinnacle of the puppet master in the ninja world. Now this battle is just a shot, and Sand Shinobi Chiyo has heard the wind and fled, without any intention to fight. He even killed Rock Shinobi 4040, this way can be described as stepping on the corpse of the enemy to achieve a splendid reputation. Yi Chen stood on the battlefield without speaking for a long time. However, a series of system prompts came from his ears. Now you have destroyed the Sand Shinobi Rock Shinobi coalition, providing him with more than 20,000 experience points. At present, the total experience is more than 48,000, 50,000. 50,000 experience points as a watershed, which represents his devil fruit ability. Conqueror's Haki will be upgraded to a new level, and then the strength will be greatly improved, and it will enter a new realm. Bang! A platinum treasure chest appeared out of thin air. Yi Chen put the chest directly into the system, and then slowly walked to Jiraiya and the others. It's over, Jiraiya asked blankly. Yeah, Yi Chen nodded, without joy or sorrow. His face was calm, as if he had done something trivial. What a strong momentum. Namikaze Minato behind him showed a dignified expression. Is this the Rakshasa who made the enemy feel fearful? There were also some ninjas who came over to see Yi Chen, and they all showed respect. The strong are respected everywhere. Gollum. At this time, blood was constantly pouring out of the ground, and the smell of blood filled the nostrils. What happened? Everyone was shocked. Blood. Naoki's face was pale, and today he finally saw the true face of Rakshasa, a ruthless man who kills without blinking. He. Orochimaru showed his signature sinister smile. Jiraiya frowned, then walked to the front, and suddenly her hands slowly formed a seal. Earth style. Earth fission technique. In an instant, the earth began to surging like a quagmire, and then moved to both sides, splitting apart. And going up temporarily along the divided ground, everything in the clod and in the pit kept pouring out. In the end, a pile of bloody broken bones and puppet knives were turned over. Jiraiya glanced at it and judged from the clothes that these people were Sand Shinobi. Vomit. Naoki vomited again when he saw this worse scene. As the only man in the Senju family, it's really embarrassing to be vomited by this bloody scene again. All Konoha's ninjas were shocked and horrified when they saw this scene. The corpse that was turned up from the soil was even more miserable than the broken limbs on the ground. There is no complete corpse at all of them are bloody, squeezed into a muddy flesh by the huge pressure under the soil, and turned into a pile of rotten meat. Then Anbu Scout Ninja personally counted the number of people. There are more than 30 Sand Shinobi, including the unidentified strong Jonin, who seems to be killed together. So this time Sand Shinobi and Rock Shinobi wiped out a total of 70 or 80 ninjas. In an instant, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. There was silence. Yi Chen completed the task and didn't stay any longer. He left first, like a lonely loner. I act as a Rakshasa, why should I care about the eyes of others? After a long while, someone finally spoke with a shocked expression, saying, Rakshasa, what is the holy place, so powerful? Yi-kun, I'm getting more and more interested in you, hiss. Orochimaru stuck out his tongue and licked his lips, his eyes twinkling. This is my boss, Naoki said tremblingly, clutching his stomach. It's incredible that one person not only rescued Orochimaru and Naoki, but also wiped out the Rock Shinobi Sand Shinobi joint force that we had been stalemate for half a month. At this moment, even Jiraiya's eyes flickered, with a bit of shock, and admiration surged in his heart. Hitaki Tsukumo asked Rakshasa to be the leader, and he didn't mean to bluff him, but told the truth. One attack, the coalition forces that gave them headaches for half a month, even Jiraiya admired them. The strength of this man is far above him. You must know that this kind of joint force of 2 ninja villages is rare, although most of them are elite chunin, there are also a lot of jonin, there are more than 10. Now Jiraiya is confident 1 against 3 or 4 jonin, but killing them all is simply impossible. Whether it is special equipment, or the kind of digging puppet that can walk freely under the soil. And skilled earth-style ninjutsu, or hit-and-run guerrilla tactics, these are not easy to train. This time, Sand Shinobi Rock Shinobi is bleeding. God bless Konoha. But then again, this guy is so strong, why hasn't he heard of it in the village before? Jiraiya thought to himself. Every Anbu strongman has a bright identity in Konoha. Such as Anbu Captain Hatake Tsukumo, who is ostensibly Konoha's White Fang. And Orochimaru. Rakshasa is so powerful, so it is definitely not a nameless person on the bright side. Jiraiya has a wide range of friends and spreads in all directions, how could she not know such a person? Weird. Where can Jiraiya think that Rakshasa's true identity will be a graduate who just left ninja studies? No one believes this. Is it an illusion? Rakshasa's back looks like Yi Chen-kun's back. Namikaze Minato has been staring at Rakshasa. Although black clothes and black robes hide his figure, he can still see more or less from a person's back, some traces. Impossible. How could Yi Chen-kun be a Rakshasa? I must have thought too much. The last time I saw him, he was a genin. How could he be a Rakshasa across the battlefield? Namikaze Minato shook his head, feeling that his thoughts were too much ridiculous. Only if the idea were true. Everyone, let's clear the battlefield. Jiraiya said at this time. Because Rakshasa's methods are too cruel, these corpses can't just be left alone. If the merchants in the past saw it, they should not be scared to death. For a time, the resident ninja moved, silently cleaning the battlefield, and the atmosphere was unusually quiet. Land of the Earth, Iwagakure. Onogi, a half-little old man, was drinking the tea leaves, a specialty of the land, in a leisurely manner. Their Iwagakure tactics worked very well, not only minimizing losses, but also contacting Sunagakure to suppress Konoha village's actions. Especially after the joint forces of the two villages were dispatched, the support of Sand Shinobi Chiyo's digging puppets and Earth-style ninjas greatly contained Konoha. Despite being constantly sniped by Konoha, the combined forces did not fight them head-on at all, but instead harassed, cut off supplies, and continued to disgust Konoha. So the actual effect is that in the future, the entire Konoha will be restrained by this army that may burrow out of the ground at any time. Sentient ninjas are almost constantly changing their shifts, staying alert at all times. Because of this, Konoha did not send any more troops into the battlefield for a short time. Because there are no supplies, what do ninjas eat on the battlefield? Hanzo of the Salamander, who has poisoned crops in the land of rain, who dares to eat them? Even if there is an antidote, what if the antidote doesn't work? Who would joke about their own life? Ha ha ha, this time we Rock Shinobi must be the final winner. We'll deal with Sand Shinobi later. Onogi has already begun to think about the future, the scene of their land country ruling the ninja world. Konoha has no first-generation eyes, second-generation eyes, like tigers without teeth, no threat. On the other hand, Rock Shinobi Village not only has the lava-style bloodline limit, but also developed the bloodline elimination, which is a power far beyond the bloodline limit. As soon as the dust escapes, who will compete? Whoosh. However, just as Onogi was drinking tea, an Anbu scout suddenly appeared in the office, knelt down on one knee and saluted to Onogi, looking flustered. Report to Tsuchikage-sama, something happened. What's up? The combined force with Sand Shinobi has been wiped out, not a single one has returned. Puff. Just halfway through a sip of tea, Onogi spit it out, and then stared at the scout ninja in front of him. I just felt depressed in my chest, as if there was a huge boulder blocking it. All of a sudden, the sky is dark, the eyes are dark, and the blood pressure keeps rising. What did you say? Say it again. Oyemu roared, and jumped like thunder, as fierce as a wild monkey. The ninja was taken aback by Onogi's burst of momentum, and he was terrified. Are you talking? His voice was slightly trembling, and he was sweating coldly, but he still said, the joint force has given Konoha a headache for the past 2 weeks, Sand Shinobi's digging puppet has made great contributions. But just 2 days ago, the combined forces gave up their harassment tactics and went all out to hunt down the lone Konoha Jonin Orochimaru. Orochimaru. How can a mere Orochimaru wipe out the entire army? Onogi said, his aura becoming more and more terrifying. Orochimaru was surrounded by our team, and there was no way out. But at this moment, Konoha Anbu sent a ninja to support, and it was this ninja who led to the destruction of the more than 80 ninjas that we joined with Sand Shinobi. The scout said quickly. Onogi's eyes were gloomy and uncertain, and one person caused a large ninja team to be wiped out. Is it possible? Unless he is a god. Don't tell me that person killed all the ninjas of our coalition alone. Onogi asked, the murderous aura emanating from his body was extremely terrifying. Faced with this murderous intent, the scout bit his head and said, "Lord Tsuchikage, the fact is that this Konoha Anbu ninja single-handedly wiped out all the combined forces, leaving no one alive." Potato. Hearing this, Onogi sat back in his chair absent-mindedly, shook his head and said, "That's impossible. Even Hokage of Konoha, if he wants a combined force, he can't kill them all." "Who is that person?" "Ghostface, Rakshasa," said the scout. The scout ninja did not dare to lift his head, as if he felt that Tsuchikage Onogi was already like a volcano that could erupt at any time. The atmosphere became extremely depressing. "Rakshasa, it's him again." Anamu's anger hammered the desk, and the battle report some time ago was that Rakshasa alone killed more than 20 people in their team. Now, this Rakshasa has destroyed their coalition. Why has this person never heard of it before? Could it be that this Rakshasa was disguised by the old man Sarutobi Hiruzen? Who else has this power besides him? Onogi rubbed his chin in thought, his face gloomy and uncertain. If it goes on like this, they rock shinobi must be killed. You can't sit back and watch, you can only give it your all. The Second Ninja World War is here and it's time to start a real cutting-edge battle. The cage-level powerhouses have always had a tacit understanding and did not appear on the battlefield, because the whole body is affected by a single stroke. Before, it was always the 3 ninja village soldiers and the confrontation, but now there is a variable called Rakshasa. Shadow must be dispatched. Onogi gazes at the distant land of rain, and he will go to the battlefield in person. The same situation also happened in the land of wind. After encountering Waterloo, Chiyo temporarily returned to Sunagakur. As for the front line, Sand Shinobi all huddled up, no longer taking the initiative to compete with Konoha, until the order above came out to fight. In Keisuke's office, Chiyo slowly described the situation of this mission, looking ashamed. Standing in front of her is Third Keisuke, who is known as the strongest Keisuke. Third Keisuke was dressed in a white robe, lined with a blue ninja suit, and had hedgehog hair. He looked like he was in his 30s, and he was considered the youngest of the 5 major ninja villages. Killing more than 80 ninjas by one person. There are also many Jonin. Even Chiyo, you are not an opponent. Third Keisuke said in shock. He was not as furious as Onogi, but calm and thoughtful. At G at asterisk at percent carat. Yeah, although it's inconvenient because of the puppet, Rakshasa's strength is indeed stronger than mine. And this time, he hasn't used that strange flame power. It was just a simple physical technique that killed our coalition with strange power. Chiyo said. Although he hated Rakshasa's bones, he wished to eat his flesh, drink his blood, and sleep his skin. But Rakshasa's strength had to be admired by her. It was too pervert, and his attack was ruthless, cold-blooded and ruthless, and his methods were once cruel. Chiyo, are you sure it wasn't White Fang pretending to be? Third Keisuke asked again. No, I have played against White Fang. Rakshasa gave me a completely different feeling from White Fang, and even the number of moves is completely different. Chiyo said solemnly. It's enough to have a White Fang, but now there is a Rakshasa with a fierce reputation, which is really a headache. Why don't such ninjas appear in Sand Shinobi Village? Konoha clearly already has the best geographical environment in the entire ninja world, taking advantage of the location and people. Why does Sand Shinobi have to survive in such a harsh environment? Call. Third Keisuke took a long breath and said slowly. Chiyo, we have to re-examine this war. Because our opponents are not only Konoha, but also Sand Shinobi, the land of rain. More importantly, our northern neighbor, the land of thunder, is eyeing them. Not only Sand Shinobi Village, Rock Shinobi Village, but also Konoha Village. The mountains and rains are about to come, the wind is full of buildings, and the black clouds are pressing down on the city and the city is about to be destroyed. In the Konoha village of the land of fire, Third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen is also solemn and complicated at this time. If he hadn't known that Third Keisuke and Third Tsuchikage hadn't personally dispatched themselves to the battlefield of the Land of Rain, he might have been standing in the Land of Rain at this time. It's just that what happened to Yi Chen now, everything is beyond expectations. The decisive battle is coming. With a sigh, Sarutobi Hiruzen walked to the window and looked into the distance. I didn't expect that Yi Chen's current power is extremely important in this decisive battle, and it can even decide the balance of this battle. But can he be trusted? That's right, Sarutobi Hiruzen is starting to doubt Yi Chen now. In a high position, he has to think so. Yi Chen's strength has improved so fast that even his Hokage feels terrified. A year ago, Yi Chen was just a survivor of a small village that was destroyed. However, a year later, Yi Chen changed his body and traversed the battlefield of the ninja world directly, and there were countless sand shinobi rock shinobi souls under his command. Become a Rakshasa on the battlefield, everyone's discoloration. Sarutobi Hiruzen feels that Yi Chen's strength has surpassed his peers Senju Hashirama, Uchiha Madara. You know this kid is only 10 years old. In another 20 years, who else will be Yi Chen's opponent in the entire ninja world? This is undoubtedly a very beneficial thing for Konoha. Sarutobi Hiruzen is hesitant. Yi Chen's identity, how did a survivor of a small village that was destroyed become so powerful? This is not common sense, or the enemy did it on purpose. As Hokage, he must think about Konoha's future. To be honest, with Yi Chen's current achievements, he can directly become the captain of Konoha Anbu, and he can even run for Hokage in the future to get the highest authority of Konoha. But is it really that smooth? At some point, Danzo returned to Konoha village from the front line and walked to Sarutobi Hiruzen with small steps. Yi Chen, Rakshasa, is a foreigner after all, and his roots are not in Konoha. Sarutobi, you can use him, but never give him power. Danzo looks at Sarutobi Hiruzen very seriously and solemnly. Danzo, isn't that chilling? Yi Chen has done a lot for Konoha after all. Sarutobi Hiruzen said. Chilling. Up to this point, you still think that kid Yi Chen is an ordinary person. I think this kid must have a backside in his head, and he will definitely be against Konoha in the future. While things are still going around, Hiruzen, you'd better get there early. Make a decision and cut the mess with a quick knife. Danzo said. Obviously he wants to get rid of Yi Chen. Let it develop. Who else can control Yi Chen? Hearing this, Third Hokage's face changed drastically and he scolded. Hugh, Danzo, you are too extreme. Yi Chen is just a child with great power. As long as he gets the right guidance, he will definitely become a great hero of Konoha in the future. Hehe, child, you have seen children who galloped on the battlefield and made countless ninjas fear. Hiruzen, you didn't go to the battlefield yourself. You should see how Yi Chen killed those enemies, those shattered corpses, even I saw scalp hair. Ma, that's not something a normal child can do at all. Danzo sneered. He was really afraid that one day Yi Chen would treat him like that, treating the whole Konoha. Danzo, you don't need to say more. As long as you don't take the initiative to provoke Yi Chen, everything will be fine. Sarutobi Hiruzen said directly. Quote. Danzo was speechless. Did he look like he was looking for trouble? But seeing Sarutobi's attitude, he was also furious, too lazy to say any more, and said, if that's the case, let's wait and see. Time will prove that what I said is right and you are wrong. I'm Hokage, I can't be wrong, Danzo. Sarutobi Hiruzen said lightly with his hands on his back. MMP. Danzo was almost choked to death by Sarutobi's words. Is this what people say? Ah, it's Hokage is amazing. Hiruzen of the dog days, sooner or later you will regret it. Humph. Angry Danzo, walk away. Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't look back at all and couldn't get used to Danzo. He was silent all the time, looking at the sky outside, not knowing what to think. Will the future really be as bad as Danzo says? Is it too much of a worry? But this time Rock Shinobi, Sand Shinobi suffered a defeat. It is estimated that they will organize a real frontal war soon, and Hokage 3rd Tsuchikage Onogi will also fight in person. With White Fang around, Sarutobi Hiruzen is not too worried, but there is always some worry in his heart. On the other side, the battlefield of the Kingdom of Rain, the Konoha base. Yi Chen had already come back early. No one saw him when he came back. Even knowing that not many of him came back, he went straight back to where he lived. Sitting cross-legged on the bed, Yi Chen closed his eyes, but in front of him was a scene of slaughter on the battlefield. In a blood-colored world, countless people fell in a pool of blood, screaming, howling, and even more so with broken limbs. After seeing this scene, Yi Chen's conscience didn't realize it. His face was calm, like a bowl of boiled water, without any ups and downs. Why did killing make me feel physically and mentally happy at that time? and there was even a voice in my heart that bewitched him to keep killing, like a second personality. Yi Chen was thinking, and always felt that there was something wrong with him, but he couldn't realize it. It was because he was too calm in the face of killing, and even longed to kill, that made him feel abnormal. I don't know when, I became the devil Rakshasa who kills without blinking an eye. Hey, sighing silently, Yi Chen couldn't perceive his own problem, so he just didn't think about it, because it wasn't a big problem for him, it was just a little more murderous, and then he brought up the attribute panel and took a look at the battle. Reward. Open black lens bracket host, Yi Chen. Abilities. Conqueror's Haki LV3, Observation Haki LV4, Armament Haki LV4, Shaved LV3, Moonwalk LV3, it takes 10,000 experience points to upgrade to the next level. Skills. Tornado Profound Truth, 36 Troubled Winds, 72 Troubled Winds, 1 Blade Stream. Lion Song. Fruit. Mara Mara Fruit LV4, Renren Fruit Buddha LV3, it takes 10,000 experience to upgrade to the next level. Weapon. Great Sword, Yan Mo. Experience 49,000 50,000. It's almost full of experience. Yi Chen thought. Then I took out the Platinum Treasure Chest from the system. The Platinum Treasure Chest can be regarded as a top-quality treasure chest. The items opened from this level of treasure chest are basically very powerful for the improvement of strength. With a thought, the treasure chest slowly opened, emitting a dazzling white light, like a halo of diamonds. A card with a platinum frame suddenly came into view, picked up the card, and a message came to mind. Specially designated 4 Emperors Summoning Card, Kaido of the Beasts. Character Card. 4 Emperors Kaido, this card is a one-time consumption card. Use Method 1. Use this card to directly summon 4 Emperors Kaido to come, and the summoned character absolutely obeys the summoner. Use Method 2. The summoner can choose not to summon, directly fuse the card, inherit all the abilities of the character card, last for a quarter of an hour, and the ability will disappear after the time expires. Seeing the disappearance in his mind, Yi Chen's calm face showed a little emotion. Although it is only a one-time character card, what kind of scene would it be to summon the 4 Emperors Kaido to come? The first is Kaido's height. He is not a giant, but he is about 15 to 20 meters, and the 4 Emperors' ant is only about 8 meters. In addition to the giants. In the whole pirate world, Kaido's body is definitely the highest in the ranks, which can be called a walking hill. Not only is the physique strong, but also huge. The defense is also unique. It is said that Kaido's greatest pleasure is to find death when he has nothing to do. He has committed suicide hundreds of times without any trouble. Even Marine can't help it, but instead he has achieved the name of Kaido's undead monster. The other is strength. Wong Luffy's 4-block hammer. Kaido spent an episode and a half. Kaido didn't even fight back, and finally hit Wong Luffy directly with a hammer, turned into a dragon, and the dragon's earth breath is even more devastating. It is estimated that if Kaido is allowed to go mad, it is estimated that a country can be destroyed in one day. As one of the pirate 4 emperors, he stands at the top of the world. Yi Chen thought, summoning such a thing by himself is probably more powerful than summoning a tailed beast. Haha, if Kaido is called out in the next battle, the entire ninja world will probably explode. Yi Chen couldn't help thinking. But of course he wouldn't do that, these are his own trump cards. Afterwards, I put away the summoning cards and counted the time. At this time, Jiraiya, Orochimaru and the others should be back. Outside the Konoha station, the Jiraiya team and Orochimaru came slowly. Tsunade was waiting just outside the base, and when he saw the visitor not far away, he suddenly became very excited. Nawaki. With a shave, Tsunade came to Nawaki in an instant, saw Nawaki's pale face, and hugged his younger brother tightly. This time the accident scared him. "I'm fine, elder sister," Nawaki said. He knew that it was elder sister who was worried about him, and he blamed himself. "Tsunade, let me tell you, I'll bring Nawaki back for you," Jiraiya couldn't help but said with a slightly smug look on her face. "Hehe, when you come, everything is too late," Orochimaru said coldly. "What's the meaning?" Tsunade heard the words and heard Orochimaru's words, as if there was something he didn't know. "Tsunade, if Rakshasa hadn't arrived earlier, Nawaki would have fallen into the enemy's trap and died. At that moment, even I felt hopeless," Orochimaru said slowly. "Tsunade, Actually we were a little slower, but luckily Rakshasa was in time. Jiraiya said embarrassedly, and he knew what happened on the way. Sister, thanks to Rakshasa. Otherwise, I really won't be able to see you, woohoo. Nawaki could not help crying. Surrounded by hundreds of detonating charms, the moment it exploded, he was scared to death. I really thought I was going to die young, but luckily Rakshasa appeared. Rakshasa. Tsunade looked at the team, didn't seem to notice Yi Chen, his heart sank, and asked. What about Rakshasa? Everyone looked at each other, as if their faces were embarrassed. Tsunade's eyes were filled with suspicion, and the ominous feeling in his heart became more and more intense. Could it be that Yi Chen was killed? No, this is impossible. Yi Chen's strength is so strong, how can the mere Sand Shinobi Rock Shinobi combined force be the opponent of Yi Chen's kid? But why can't I see Yi Chen? Where is he? Tsunade, don't be sad when you say it. Jiraiya said hesitantly. Come on, where is the Rakshasa? Tsunade glanced at everyone's expressions, approached aggressively, and almost growled. He took a step beforehand. Ha ha ha, we're kidding you, Tsunade. Jiraiya finished quickly, then suddenly turned around and couldn't help laughing. Everyone's faces changed. Tsunade also saw it, and naturally knew that he had been deceived, especially when Jiraiya showed such a proud expression. He frowned and said angrily. Idiot. After he finished speaking, he punched Jiraiya away with one punch, so that he couldn't take care of himself, and smashed half of his body into the ground. Namikaze Minato, a student of Jiraiya, covered his face and smiled bitterly. Hey, the world is so beautiful, why does the teacher always die? Orochimaru stepped forward and said in a hoarse voice, Tsunade, Rakshasa returned to the camp one step ahead of time. It's really thanks to him this time. After all, we didn't help much. He's back already, Tsunade murmured, feeling a little indignant. The stinky boy didn't tell her when he came back early. It's really unreasonable for her to be so worried. Although Nawaki said he was fine, Tsunade decided to use medical ninjutsu to help his younger brother to see if there were any hidden dangers, but there should not be any accidents, it had to be foolproof. After any completion, everyone went back to rest. Orochimaru limped to Orochimaru's tent, and tripped again as he entered. One head fell to the ground. Fortunately, Jiraiya is an elite Jonin after all. As soon as the back foot is exerted, the whole person flips in midair, and then falls firmly in front of Orochimaru. Orochimaru is expressionless about this, and even feels a little bit boring. The air was silent for a while, embarrassing. Cough. Jiraiya coughed twice. Did she think she was doing too much? Basically speaking, this mission has nothing to do with him at all. Seeing Orochimaru's indifferent expression, Jiraiya felt a little pain in the eggs, pretended to be affectionate, hooked Orochimaru's shoulder, and asked with a smile, Orochimaru, can I ask you something? What's the matter? Orochimaru glanced from the corner of his eye, calmly. Jiraiya was more and more surprised by this, and he couldn't help asking, Rakshasa's strength is indeed terrifying, but who is he? Konoha has never seen such a person before. Sorry, Jiraiya, this news is still a top secret, Orochimaru said, his voice hoarse, not particularly emotional. Don't, Orochimaru, we are brothers and sisters from the same sect. Our relationship is stronger than Jinjian, and our relationship is inseparable. You are also the Anbu sub-commander, a high-level officer. You must know the identity of Rakshasa, so you can tell me, or I will die of curiosity. Jiraiya said quickly, looking very unwilling. Why don't you just ask Hatake Tsukumo? Orochimaru said. That's Captain Anbu. No, Jiraiya said. Hehe, you don't have to worry. Maybe it won't be long before you know the true identity of Rakshasa. Orochimaru's face showed a sinister smile. He seems to have seen through everything, mysterious and weird. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.